Yeehaw! It's time for TWiT. Justin Robert Young, Veronica Belmont, Tom Meritt. They're all going to stop by. We're going to talk about the latest news, including Windows 8. Here it comes. Windows Phone 8. Watch out. Here comes the SDK. What's the secret? And Steve Jobs, 1 year after his passing. It's all coming up next on TWiT.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 374, recorded October 7th, 2012, one Shwood short of a DragonCon panel. This Week in Tech is brought to you by GoToMeeting with HD Faces from Citrix, the simple way to meet and collaborate with colleagues and clients anywhere. Share the same screen and see each other face-to-face with HD video conferencing, even from an iPad. Sign up for your 30-day free trial today. Visit GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code TWiT. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/TWiT2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter, user ID audible_com. And by the new Squarespace. Squarespace introduces a new content management system, making it faster and easier to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. Plus, more than 50 new features, including mobile responsive designs. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TWiT10. And by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it right from your desk. For our special offer, go to Stamps.com now, click the radio microphone, and enter TWiT.
It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech, the show that covers all your latest tech news. Leo Laporte here with a great panel, but I think we really can blame this panel on SpaceX, and I'll explain that in a moment. First, let me introduce Veronica Belmont, who is visiting us, newlywed Veronica Belmont, who is visiting us via Skype. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, how are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We had Ryan on, was it last week or a couple of weeks ago? We looked at wedding pictures. That was a beautiful dress. You looked great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I have to go through all the other photos and get them all sorted out and stuff, but haven't had time quite yet.
And so the hashtag from now on for your life is Blockmont.
Yes, until the end of days.
I think that's so great. They're the first people I know who have a hashtag for their wedding. But that worked because all I had to do was search for Blockmont, and I could find all the wedding pictures and everything.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be there in person, but everything in the world is going on in San Francisco this weekend. I don't know if you knew that. So traffic in and out of the city is insane.
Yeah, it's like
I hated you for not coming here, but then I realized you're absolutely right. There's the America's Cup, Fleet Week. So the Navy's flying around.
Bluegrass Festival.
Strictly bluegrass.
Kind of, maybe bluegrass.
Which is
the
free.
Castro Street Fair.
Castro Street Fair is this weekend too?
Niners are playing.
And then the Niners are playing. And of course, the Giants and the Reds in the playoffs. All of that's in San Francisco.
And a Burning Man party. Seriously, in the Mission.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wasn't it like,
It might have been last night.
Burning Man was like 2 days ago.
It was like a reunion party.
Yeah.
We miss it so much.
Remember that time we were in the desert? It was awesome. Bring the wine.
It's a playa party. That's Tom Meritt from Tech News Today. We rarely have Tom on this show because we don't want to confuse you.
Right.
But
or me.
You're here, and so is Justin Robert Young from NSFW, because you guys will be part of our SpaceX coverage. We're going to do we're going to help Weird Things do your...
Sure. Yeah, we're moving the Weird Things special event here. You were nice enough
Andrew Main will be on Skype?
Andrew Main will be on Skype live from Cape Canaveral.
He's going to be there.
He is there now, and he's going to have the coverage there. So as soon as we're done with TWiT, like we're talking...
Right away.
We have a limited window. We're going to go and run over to the other set, and hopefully right in the first 10 minutes or so, we're going to see the first ever private cargo run.
Wow.
Wait, so we have a hard out for TWiT today?
We do.
We do.
You'll be glad to hear that, Veronica. There's a new thing. There's a new meme going on where people get up, only an hour or 2 or 3 into TWiT and leave.
Yeah.
They say, I can't. Oh, I thought it'd be over by 8 o'clock.
It's like occupy end of show.
Panel, just like take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like, by the way, for those of you who are only audio listeners, please go ahead to the meme that will surely be cropping up of the impressed Veronica face, like the impressed, the not bad Obama
that was
face.
good. I like that.
Hard out for TWiT?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, impressed Veronica. Wow. you are married, aren't you? My ex-wife used to make that face all the time. Now, I realize I'm wearing a cowboy hat. And, I just realized that this is actually, the brim is casting a shadow that's not really very felicitous. So I'm going to replace the cowboy hat. I have another hat that's a smaller brimmed hat, and I think is more appropriate to the show.
Oh, you're a cook.
I am a certain kind of
You look
cook.
like a Bond henchman.
Say his name, Justin.
What's my name? You know my name. What's my name?
One who knocks.
You know where this is a pork pie hat, and this came up because I was watching Breaking Bad, and actually I think Sarah Lane and I were talking about it, and I said, "What is that funny hat that Walter White, Heisenberg, Brian, what's his name? Cranston, that's right. What is that hat Brian Cranston wears?" And I didn't know. I thought that's the strangest, weirdest hat, and then everybody in the chat room said, "No, that's a pork pie hat."
There we go.
Worn by jazz artists. And strange people.
And
it doesn't, I think you need to wear a black
everywhere.
suit with a skinny tie to really get
Yeah,
Yeah.
the combo, not feeling it.
I look like Popeye or something.
It looks like you should be hailing cabs. Like,
Oh, I am.
At the Sir Francis Drake.
I am the doorman at the Sir Francis Drake. They've got a
Absolutely.
new Western theme.
or you hired the Firefly crew and won't pay them.
Could be.
Something like that.
Could be that as well. So, boy, there's a lot of news. We have such a great panel here. People who are expert, who follow this.
Really? Who's joining us?
Exciting for all of us.
Exciting.
Next week will be. But let's. I wouldn't mind starting. This was, and because you were here for this, Tom. A year ago, October 5th, Steve Jobs passed away, and it was a very moving day for all of us. And here we are, a year later, in the tech industry. And I'm just wondering if there are thoughts a year later about Steve Jobs.
I liked, we talked about this on Tech News Today this week. I liked Matt Honen's article, Why We Will Never Stop Talking About Steve Jobs. Because obviously there were a lot of articles, some of which were from a place of admiration, saying, gosh, it's been a year and he was so important. Some of which were probably link bait to, say, if we put a Steve Jobs story up, people will click. Right. And a lot of people were like, gosh, do we really need to drag this out again? And Matt's point was, Steve Jobs changed so many industries, affected so many industries, even if you hate him, even if you think he gets too much credit, he had an effect. You can't argue with that. And so he will be talked about like Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla and others, or Henry Ford, not because he's as good as them or he's even the same as them, but he had that kind of impact on people. And just like Thomas Edison is criticized by many people, saying he gets too much credit. He didn't invent all the things people claim he did, but they're still talking about him. And the same thing about Steve Jobs.
Yeah, you make an apt point, and this is the illustration for Matt Honen's article in Wired.com by Simon Lutrin. And these are the four right people to pick, because Ford was a Nazi sympathizer. Well, no, seriously.
No, he was.
None of these guys were paragons of virtue. And I think maybe Edison, it turns out Edison became Edison because he was his primary job was stealing patents.
And
from
horrible
people.
to animals.
He would be he killed an elephant because of Tesla. But seriously, Edison started by reverse engineering patented inventions for money. He was a patent troll. I don't know if you can say anything bad about Tesla except he has a terrible hairdo. But other than that,
I mean, he was legitimately crazy.
Yeah. I think he was just insane.
Yeah,
and that's why he could never get his stuff together to.
He had what was it, like a deep personal, if not romantic, relationship with a pigeon?
Is that right?
I believe so. Yeah, it was a bird, some kind of bird. I'm sure someone's going to have it in the chat room.
Mike Tyson in that way.
yes,
Exactly.
Customado.
Rates of their age.
So
So let's throw Mike Tyson in here too.
I guess what you could say is great men are often quirky.
Certainly so. I mean, as far as Jobs, there was just so many elements to who he was, not only in just kind of the force of personality in an interview, but also he had this great narrative to his life, which we always revisited while he was alive, and now in its totality is just so immaculately impressive that we keep referring to it. But also consider this, you saw in both Mitt Romney and Barack Obama's speech at their conventions positively mention Steve Jobs and Apple as an example of, in this very complicated economic time of, on Mitt Romney's side, how innovation, will be the savior, and, sticking to a private business and creating and innovating is what we need to do. And on, Barack Obama's side, that things aren't going all that bad because, look, we've created, the most valuable company, over this 4-year period, while things have been obviously very complicated. So, that's the kind of person he is. I mean, he's almost this when nothing is post-political, he is post-political. He got, gigantic ovations in both conventions when they mentioned him.
And I think it's important to note, too, that a lot of the concern when he passed away, other than, of course, just being, very sad for the loss of Steve Jobs, was about Apple itself and the continued survival and success of that company. And I think we've seen over the past year that it has continued to go on the path that he set out for it. And, that's probably partially what Steve Jobs did, and also the fact that he left behind a good group of people to run the company in his stead.
And I do think we will eventually, and eventually is in deep, bold letters, get past the "what would Steve Jobs have done" thing. I don't think it's going to be anytime in the next 5 years.
I think we should get rid of that now.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, but I don't know if you read our Jackie Chang's article in Ars Technica, but she talked with a lot of people inside of Apple, and they said as much as people try not to do it, it still happens. I mean, Steve Jobs said, "Don't talk about what I would do. Just do what you think is right."
He knew
and yet
that
people
was a
still
pitfall.
do it.
Yeah, he
They're
said
like,
that's a pitfall.
Steve Jobs wouldn't have let this happen for whatever they're talking about.
But
it's almost
the
unavoidable.
thing that's hard is I don't think anyone really, even when he was alive, knew what he would have done until the last minute. So it's very hard to think in that way because it could have changed at any particular moment in time. And so it's a hard thing to kind of, go forward on because you never knew.
Yeah, and that was a bit of why we loved him, because he was this kind of oracle, or at least the myth around him was that he was this kind of oracle.
Do we love him because he was so good at creating the image of Steve Jobs, or did he genuinely make a contribution?
Oh, I mean, I think if you, and the Honan article does a great job of just running down all the fields in which he absolutely made a indelible impact, and I think we might talk about it a little bit later of like where, phones, computers throughout the world,
the music industry
are going to be phones. The music industry, and my and I'm a voracious nonfiction reader. My favorite line of nonfiction writing ever comes from Steve Levy's "The Perfect Thing" in describing Steve Jobs' initial meeting with the 5 labels, and he walked into the room with, and this is the line for line description, ball-high jean shorts. And it's just like my favorite description of like,
and I can see it. I'm Steve Jobs, and this is what I got.
Exactly. 99 cents a song, $10 an album. You'll never regret it. What? It's computer sailing music. What could possibly go wrong? And
you could go out of business, or you could do what I want.
Yeah,
which was essentially the attitude.
Well, no, he sold it to them as like, it's a
don't worry,
nothing for you guys.
Don't worry.
This is such a small part of your
Apple.
business.
Don't worry.
You can. Get around the Napster thing, because you guys are all pulling your hair out about that. Here's just an easy way that people can buy your music. And then all of a sudden, it's affected. It was so successful that it's almost hampered Apple going forward with television, movies, specifically with the Apple TV.
The industries are terrified of Apple.
The cable companies won't make a deal with Apple that's, as disruptive.
So there's a little bit
wants.
of a difference there, because the cable companies want to own the relationship, and that's similar to what publications are doing. But the fear is there. The fear is coming from like, we saw what you did with music, and if you do that with the actual customer information, we're screwed. So it's not just about selling shows. It's about we're the cable companies. We manage that people with the customers, and we want to continue that. And Apple resists that. They're like, no, we don't want to give that information to people.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons the Facebook deal fell through with Ping. Is that Facebook wanted customer information. Apple said, nope, you're not going to get it.
Poor Ping. Ping is dead.
Ping died this week.
If I had a hat on, I would take it off in Ping's memory.
There we go. Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
We hardly knew ye. In fact, I don't think I ever used it.
No.
I tried to use it a lot.
Bad. It was just, frankly,
really hard.
Good riddance.
Sometimes people knock Jobs because he was such a good marketer. But I think about Thomas Edison, who completely, especially in later life, marketed the brand Thomas Edison. I mean, it's not a knock against the fact that he invented the light bulb and the phonograph, and I mean, he still did those things, and he marketed himself.
But and you'll have people argue that he didn't invent the light bulb, and that he stole the filament idea from this guy. And he's
there's a whole story about the guy who I think was a Scott inventor who did in fact invent the light bulb. And people think Edison invented the light bulb because he got the U.S. government to issue a stamp saying he invented the light bulb. And talk about good marketing. That stamp proves it. It's the federal government said he invented the light bulb.
But real quick, to the point of when we will stop talking about, or if we will stop talking about what would Steve Jobs have done. I mean, like, Frankenweenie underperformed at the box office. We're not saying
Frankenweenie.
We're not saying.
Did you have it in the movie draft?
What would Walt Disney have done? No, I had Taken 2, which, by the way, made $50 million this weekend.
What? Crime. Who had the master?
Nobody had the master.
No,
just checking.
It came out too early. Although the master was awesome. Did you guys see the master?
Shot in 65 millimeter.
Atlas Shrugged.
It was
coming
very
out, not in the
boring.
draft.
It's only boring if you like movies with plots. Are you? It had no plot, but I thought the acting.
It had a plot. It had a simple plot.
The acting was great.
I'm sorry, you were making a Frankenweenie point.
I'm saying we're not saying today Walt Disney wouldn't have done this.
Right.
But
we did say that. In fact, it's interesting you should say that. Walter Isaacson, in his biography of Steve Jobs, mentions, in fact, that the Disney company for 20 years was hampered by the fact that nobody would make a decision without saying, what would Walt do? That actually hurt Disney, and for a long time Disney went through a bad spell until it was sold, and others started running and didn't ask that question. So that can be a pitfall.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
they learned not to, is what I'm saying.
Yes, and Apple will have to learn not to, especially if it is an internal meme that people are knocking down ideas or affecting ideas because of this.
It's too easy
idea.
to do that. Yeah.
Well, I think what Jackie Cheng's article was saying was what happens is people say no one's coming in and calling BS on stuff. And that's what Jobs used to do. And that's what's really stoking that meme to continue within, is like Tim Cook is a different style guy, and there's nobody else who's got the authority to wade in and go, no, this is crap, start over.
Yeah.
And that was the role that Jobs filled particularly.
Yeah, I'm still very interested to see how the next 5 years are going to pan out with Apple, because as I mentioned earlier, there was a roadmap in place at the time of Steve Jobs passing, and we're not seeing anything deviating really from that plan yet. So I hate to say I'm curious to see what the future holds, but in this case I actually am curious to see what the future holds, because that will really be the telling thing.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, that seems legit.
And I have to say, we're probably at the end of that roadmap or close to it. I mean, the iPhone 5. Everybody said Jobs worked on directly. If there is an Apple TV, which I'm starting to doubt, presumably Jobs worked on that. But beyond that, I don't think there's anything else in the pipeline, right?
I'll tell you what, there is such a market for just any kind of television that makes the interacting with television better.
I agree.
Isn't television the worst?
Oh God, it is
the worst.
It is terrible, especially now.
Makes me angry.
Like I have like Uverse, and now I don't know like their Uverse app, the remote app is better than using.
What's the problem though?
Problem is I never know what channel anything's on. I
so
never
want
to take the time.
A cross-channel, cross-platform search where you could say, okay, Breaking Bad, where can I watch that?
I want Siri.
There's so many half-ass solutions.
Yeah,
right.
I want Siri with my TV.
Veronica did a great thing, which I've referred to again and again. I don't know if anybody's ever told you, but we often refer to the set-top box thing you did for Texilla.
Oh, yeah, that's still alive, too.
Yeah, bit.ly/set-top. And it will go to a Google spreadsheet that has been kept alive by, sorry, it's loading, it's huge, kept alive by your users about what these things do.
They've taken it above and beyond what I ever expected
so
it
good.
to be. It's all user gen info. It's all stuff that they found online. And if there's any kind of question about the veracity of one of the segments, people go in and fix it and do research for it.
It's a
and,
Wikipedia for set-top boxes.
Well, and that there you go. There's the trouble right there.
That we need it.
That you have that many people willing to
is so
dedicate
big, I
that
can't even
much
load
time to keep something like that up to date. So people obviously want this to work,
right.
And yet there's nothing in there that makes people go, well, I don't need this spreadsheet. That's the choice.
Isn't that what Google TV was supposed to do?
But even, I mean, theoretically, but then it had the gigantic.
Google TV does a lot of what you want. It says, like, we don't care where it's from. We're going to give you a single unified interface and tell you what's on your DVR and what's available on demand. So
everybody
you
just
for
went.
Your program.
We just brought Google down.
Well.
Everybody, kid you not. Everybody watching the show just went to load that spreadsheet, and it now says trying to reach Google.com. You broke Google.
It's just down the road.
I don't think it's some servers.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll be fine.
That's proof positive.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
You know, like today I wanted to watch, they had the A's game on MLB Network, you know, and I wanted to go watch that. And so I flip on that channel. I apparently have not subscribed to it, but it's like there's just even the interface to be like, okay, well, I want to get this channel is like 4 menus and just, I don't know, it's just a pain.
You know, you can buy the MLB app on the iPad and AirPlay it to your Apple TV. You get the audio from the broadcast.
I do have the MLB app. What an idiot I am.
You can get the audio from the broadcast and then you get the quad view. MLB is smart.
He's a Reds fan. Pay no attention to him.
I'm a Cardinals fan.
Oh, you're a Cardinals fan?
They are red.
They're red, but they're all right.
So, but the thing with MLB is like they're smart. They're like we're not going to get in the way of these contracts with especially ourselves in this case.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you an avenue that's a little different.
Very smart.
If you have the HD version on your television to watch, you're going to choose that over the quad view on the app. But if you don't have either one, the quad view is going to get you
This is great for MLB, but this does not solve the overarching problem of you know, we don't have an a la carte system in place that would, I think, still be the most beneficial for users out there. But the networks will never agree to that kind of stuff, and Comcast will never agree to that, and Dish never will. So we have all these little bits and bobs and ways that we can view certain shows occasionally, and it's just it's not user friendly. It's not conducive to a good experience. It's so archaic at this point. It's ridiculous.
Well, in fact, MLB is a perfect example of the fragmentation. Everybody says, oh, we'll solve it with our particular content. I mean, we've got a TWiT app, same thing. But what do? Is there some way? I mean, how are you going to solve this? You create some basket with every show gets thrown into it, and then you can play whatever you want? That's never going to happen.
I mean, the problem is that the networks, that entire industry from the networks is based on the idea that they are getting X amount per subscriber. You know, like networks count on their entire revenues, or at least the majority of the revenues are based on what they get for the larger cable company, each subscriber.
So they have to reinvent how they make money. They have
which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to take one of the guys at the back of the line to go, fine, you know what, we're doing so poorly, Dish Network or Cablevision or somebody.
Or Louis C.K.
That we'll partner up with Apple and we'll give them that customer relationship because it's better than going out of business if we can be the ones to blaze the trail. Once that domino falls, my theory is everybody else starts to fall in line just like everything else Apple has done.
What if instead of the companies that do that, it's the content creators like Louis C.K. who
That's
say,
a lot. It takes
we
a lot
don't even
longer.
need those middlemen. Why don't we just go direct?
Because you need something to replace that cable in people's living rooms. And having Louis
It's called
C.K.
the internet.
and
It's called the internet.
But you need everybody to move. You need HBO and CBS.
No, you don't need
everybody to
HBO.
move
You don't
over
need
there.
CBS. You need the people who create shows for HBO.
But then you need every single person
David
to create
Simon.
shows.
No,
but no,
and that
you
takes
need-
a lot
you need
longer to
those
get
budgets.
everybody to move over.
Yeah, you need. I mean, Game of Thrones is shot in what, 4 countries? You know, probably.
I mean, and that could
several
happen with a
million
Netflix
episode.
or something like that. They've got House of Cards coming up in February, and they have Arrested Development coming up. But then there's going to be the one show you want to watch that isn't on Netflix, and it's still on the old version.
As Matt 3 in the chat room says, Louis C.K. only works because he's already famous.
Nope,
like this doesn't
they say
work
that all
for
the
people
time.
who are just
I don't
up
agree
and
with that
starting.
either. Yeah.
Not true.
I'm with Veronica on this. He has a very successful show on a network that he gets paid for. He was a touring comedian, you know, that had a lot of people, you know, including me, go to see him before he did this kind of stuff. You know, I think the lesson of Louis
He gets
CK,
mad when people say that, by the way.
I'm sure he does. I mean,
He
gets
says
mad
no.
about a lot of things. You ever watch this stand-up?
He's an angry man.
You know, I think that the lesson for Louis C.K. is there's a lot to learn from it, but it's not that the gates have broken open.
They say that about me. They say that about anybody who creates content.
What about Chris Hardwick?
There are plenty of people.
Where'd
Exactly.
he come
Nerdist.
from? Jonathan Colton?
Singled out.
But what are you talking about? You're an existing entity. Chris Hardwick's an existing entity. Like,
Well, where did they
it's
exist
great if there's
from?
I
breakout
watch Chris
people on
Hardwick every
YouTube
day
that-
after
The
school with Jenny
presumption-
McCarthy on Singled Out.
Me
The
too.
presumption
That's how I know
is,
Chris
and I
Hardwick.
think this is perhaps true now, but will not always be true, that you need mainstream media to propel you to that point. Now, I look at Jonathan Colton, who in fact did not do it that way. There are examples of people who did not do it that way. But that's what your guys are saying. Oh, you need to be mainstream famous so that you can then be internet famous. And I think that day is ending.
That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you can't, you're not going to be able to break out of that TV model. You're not going to be able to totally tear down the walls of what is existing already and get every single person to have successful, have jobs and be able to pay their bills based off the shows they're making. Now I'm confused.
No, you're right, Veronica. It's not going to happen overnight. And there's going to be a lot of pain along the way, and the trade unions are not going to be happy. I got my SAG-AFTRA card. I'm not going to be happy. But in the long run, who's the right answer for this is for content creators to go direct to the audience. And this kind of this intermediation is what the internet has done already in so many other industries. Sure. And it's going to happen eventually in the entertainment industry. But it takes a while because, for instance, I'll give you an example. You said, how do we get Game of Thrones made? Yeah. It doesn't have to be HBO. How do you get any app made or any website made? You have venture capital. Sure. There doesn't exist now, but eventually there will be the infrastructure so that a content creator, Justin Robert Young, who has a brilliant idea as a screenwriter, can go to investors and say, I'd like to put this together. What's changed is the internet provides a distribution medium that no longer requires the bigwigs with lots of capital. You don't, and that's the change. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. It'll happen in probably in your lifetime and Veronica's lifetime. Tom and I will probably never see it.
I'll be dead.
Jesus.
But you'll still need that service that says, here's how to find all that stuff, and that's what
that's easy once you throw everything into a pile.
And you need that pile. I still think you're going to have something replace your cable system or enhance your cable system to bring all that stuff.
The problem right now is the stakeholders are silos. They are information silos, just like the internet. We saw this happen already on the internet, where AOL was a silo. You couldn't search into AOL. You couldn't send email from AOL to CompuServe. Those silos fell, and ultimately these silos will fall. And then it's easy. It's a search problem.
And what usually happens is something comes in and fills the gap. Some of the old people die. Some of the old people stay around. And a bunch of the new people die, and a bunch of the new people stay around.
Exactly.
And that's what happened with e-commerce, and it happened with print.
It's a lot of death. We're killing how many people? This is like a Holocaust here.
Really, seriously.
In
it's
100 years,
proposal.
In 100 years, it's all new people anyway, Justin.
True.
So don't worry about it.
Well, no, I guess. Go ahead,
Veronica Belmont.
No, my TiVo is pretty close right now. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I like about how it searches and about how I still want to watch the shows that are on TV now. I don't want all new stuff that's out there, but it's if I want to watch like New Girl, for example, I enjoy that show for quite a month.
That's because you are Zooey Deschanel.
No, I'm not.
Have you ever seen them at the same place at the same time?
She is Zooey Deschanel.
But, then I tried to watch back episodes, and I had the option of watching it on Amazon Streaming, Hulu Plus, and Comcast on Xfinity. And I tried to connect it to my Comcast, which I pay for already. And it was like, it's not working right now. Sorry. And then I had to sign up for the Amazon stuff, and that wasn't working properly. So it's the experience that I'm really frustrated with right now.
Completely.
Because
Completely. You're absolutely right. And that's why Google couldn't solve it. Because as soon as Google TV came out, Hulu and CBS said, you ain't going to get to access our stuff. As long as these stakeholders survive, they're going to be silos, and they're not going to let you search into it. But I am optimistic that that's going to go away.
Oh, I think so, too. You just need the device. That's why I keep saying you need the device to fill the gap. Because I'll tell you, I know I'm ahead of what the mainstream is doing, but eventually with DVRs, you get to the point where you're like, I don't want to have to remember what I've recorded and to refresh the past and to make sure the priorities are right. I just want to go and say, I want to watch Haven. Type in Haven and watch it.
You still use a DVR?
You still watch Haven?
I love Haven. It's the most underrated show on television.
Veronica, do you use a DVR?
Yeah, I still do in the living room. I just cut the cord in the bedroom.
I use a DVR.
You all use DVRs? You guys are so old-fashioned. Because really, what's the point? A DVR is just to make it on demand for you. Everything's on demand, right?
Not everything.
Not everything.
Why not?
And not everything immediately. Like if you're just half hour behind on Saturday Night Live,
mostly what I watch on my DVR is HBO. But I also watch Fringe live.
BitTorrent.
Well, you like breaking the law.
So that, but ultimately, that's the only way.
See,
What's my name?
The morally ambiguous Leo Laporte with his pork pie hat.
No, but that's seriously, that is, and the record industry realized this, and eventually the content industry as a whole will realize it. That's the competition, piracy.
Well, but
and all you're doing is you're teaching people to pirate. That's all.
Steve Jobs wouldn't let this happen.
Not under Steve Jobs.
Not under Steve Jobs' watch.
No, actually, I don't use BitTorrent because I don't want copies of this stuff.
But at a certain point, it becomes your only option. That point is becoming smaller and smaller over time as they slowly add the ability to find things on
That's
demand.
what reinvented the music industry.
Even HBO just said, you know what, fine. In Scandinavia, where we don't get the benefit of partnership with cable companies, we're going to market directly to people and see how it works. They won't do that in the U.S. right now.
They can't. They want
get too much value out of the partnerships and that of marketing.
They would love to, but Time Warner, Comcast, and the other people won't let them.
Yeah,
well, no.
They give them free advertising.
Yeah, they don't want to do it because their X amount of their business model is the fees they get paid through.
Well, there's the
companies.
fees, but there's also the free marketing.
Yeah.
That's what
Time
I'm
Warner,
saying.
Comcast, all those guys do all of the customer acquisition for HBO in the United States.
Yeah.
So right now, it doesn't make sense to take on that cost themselves.
All right, we're going to take a break. Wow, this went from Steve Jobs to something very different and actually very interesting.
To frame rate.
This is a brushwood away from a DragonCon panel already.
A brushwood away from a DragonCon panel. You know, if you do like this, guys, frame rate is an awesome show for people who want to cut the cord, and all of you have been on it, except me. This show brought to you.
On it. You walk past me all the time.
Next time I'm
I've been on frame rate.
You've not been on frame rate?
I don't think so.
VB, why don't you and I start a show to compete with frame? Oh wait a minute, frame rate is my show.
Rain Freight.
We're gonna call it Rain Freight. Ha! And I'm Mr. Mom Terrett, a host of Rain Freight. Just call me Mom.
Mom. Oh, Mom Terrett's the one dealing the loot.
Okay, now we've gone off the top. Stop.
And Spryan Brush.
Oh, and I was on. Chat room says I was on for the movie draft. In the summer.
In the draft.
See?
You're right.
Yeah.
Chat room knows everything. You do
They
not.
do. They know all.
I don't know anything. I just let the chat room know it.
Yeah. This show brought to you by our friends at Citrix, who do the great go-to meeting. If you are not having regular meetings at your company, I bet you communications are spinning out of control. We did that. We tried, because I hate meetings. You know I hate meetings. Always hated meetings. And so we didn't have meetings for the first 5 years at TWiT, and everything fell apart.
It was awesome.
It was awesome because we didn't have to go to meetings, but nobody knew what the hell was going on. So now we have regular meetings. The problem is in most businesses, people are spread out. The company's all over the place. Clients and colleagues are traveling. So this is why GoToMeeting is such a great solution. In fact, we do meet often. Almost every day we use GoToMeeting to meet with clients or colleagues. We use GoToMeeting for screen sharing, but now with the HD faces, it's also a great way to actually get to know somebody, to build rapport. Studies have shown that the way to trust somebody, you can't do it with your eyes closed, is you're looking at nonverbal cues, you're looking at their posture, looking at what they're doing, their arms folded, they're leaning in, they're leaning back, they're squinting, they're scowling, they're smiling. All of that's real important. GoToMeeting has added HD video for that very reason, and now it really is like meeting in person. Easy to use and very affordable. If you spent tens of thousands, I know companies spend hundreds of thousands on that, you know, that special teleconferencing room. You don't need it anymore. Every computer's got a camera on it. All you have is a click and you're in a meeting and you're seeing each other. In fact, you can even use the iPad to join a meeting and use the camera on it and the microphone and the earbuds. It really is fantastic. $49 a month for as many meetings as you want, as long as you want. I want you to try it free right now. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button. You know, we watch all the videos, and they have lots of information about GoToMeeting and their sister products, GoToWebinar and GoToTraining. They all use that great Citrix remote access backbone. Click the Try It Free button. Promo code is TWiT. I bet Walter White, if he had only had GoToMeeting, he and Gus might have gotten along better. There was because he had to go to El Pollo Hermanos and wait in line and eat that crappy chicken, and he was in a bad mood by the time. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
GoToMeeting would have solved a lot of problems on Breaking Bad. GoToMeeting, I don't think they
Hank
really
could have tapped. No, and it's secure. You're right.
Yeah,
It'd been fine.
it's secure.
Yeah.
Hank couldn't have gotten in it. Hey, by the way, you want to win an iPad?
Sure.
Sure.
God,
You can't.
I do.
You're not allowed.
Whoa.
No, sorry. No
Discriminating
employees.
against
Can I win an
possible
iPad?
Indians.
No, Veronica, yeah, you could win an iPad because you're not an employee. I mean, I don't pay you money, do I?
No.
I give you money, right? It's a pittance, I understand.
I get paid through Brushwood.
But that pittance, really? Brian pays you? Then you're eligible.
Yeah. Woo!
Brian's not eligible.
And good for that Shwood shelter.
Exactly.
So here's the deal. What we want you to do is tweet, and we're going to use a hashtag, TWiT free iPad. Now, I talked with our people. We're not going to use that ever again because I realized free iPad is a bad hashtag, right?
Yeah.
I suddenly realized that after we did this contest 4 times. Wait a minute. It's worked before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is hashtag TWiT free iPad. Tell us in a tweet. So, it's not, you don't have to write an essay. Where you would like to meet and who you would like to meet using GoToMeeting. And maybe if you want to throw in why. Share a story. Say why you want to win this iPad for GoToMeeting. And we were going to pick somebody at random to give them a free iPad. U.S. residents only. I'm sorry. And that's just the lawyers. God, it's so horrible. But you have to do that because of tariffs and customs and
Campaign finance reform.
Campaign finance reform, Larry Lessig. It's complicated. For rules and regulations, I blame the U.S. Commerce Department. It's your fault.
Exactly.
For rules and regulations, inside.twit.tv. And next week, maybe we'll have maybe you'll be our iPad winner.
There we go. I'm going to type it in. I want to meet Teddy Roosevelt after I die.
Perfect.
Boom.
And don't forget the hashtag, TWiT free iPad.
TWiT free iPad.
I'll give you the iPad after you die. Just that simple. But what we're going to do this time is we're going to have the iPad shipped here, and we'll sign it. In fact, if you guys want to autograph it, whoever, you just tell us who you want autographing your iPad, and we'll autograph it. We'll contact you when you win, and we'll get it all out there and all together. Hey, let's find out. Tom Meritt regularly joins us. I don't know how this is going to work. Why don't you throw? Okay, have you ever thrown to yourself?
I don't know. Oh, is it time to see what stories are coming into the week ahead?
Let's ask Tom.
Okay, Tom, pretend I'm Leo, and let us know what stories are coming in the week ahead. Hey, thanks, Leo. Here's a look at some of the stories we'll be keeping an eye on in the week ahead on Tech News Today. Wednesday, October 10th, CTIA Enterprise, the Fall Telephone Industry Conference, happens in San Diego. Also, the ITU is holding patent licensing talks in Geneva that day, and Google announces their earnings. Thursday, October 11th, there's an event for Samsung in Germany. We think it's probably some kind of new Galaxy S, maybe a Galaxy S3 Mini. Also, that's the day Groupon announced their earnings. And Friday, October 12th, the PS3 Mini with the 12 gigabyte flash drive, a first for PS3 hardware, goes on sale in Europe for €230. That's a look at what we'll be keeping an eye on in the week ahead. Back to you, Leo. Thanks, Tom.
That was Mom Terrett.
Yeah. No, that's me. I'm Mom.
Oh, you're Mom Terrett.
from Frame On.
Do you ever find this might be one of those weeks where there's just not a lot going on?
Yeah,
and it's just kind of a slow week.
This is like a half-speed week. There's a couple of things going on.
You're dredging up German,
nothing crazy,
unintelligible German events.
I don't know. There were seriously rumor sites out there saying it's going to be a Galaxy Mini.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's a joke.
Crazy. I don't think it's going to happen.
Wait, like a smaller?
Yeah. Like a Samsung Galaxy
That would be
S
just typical of Samsung, wouldn't it?
Just screen.
What's Apple doing? Oh, let's do that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny? By the way,
Samsung... It seems to be a troubling habit for them, considering the $1 billion penalty.
Well, because now they're suing Apple. Remember they said as soon as Apple does an LTE phone, we're going to court. Apple iPhone 5 infringes patents, Samsung says in suit. I don't know if they'll get $1 billion back. But maybe, a couple hundred thousand.
It's a cycle of violence.
It is, isn't it? They just continue. I think it's, is it Judge Koh again who has to see this one? Poor Judge Koh.
It would be awesome if it was, just to see that poor judge driven insane slowly.
She must just be so tired.
I think so. It says U.S. District Judge Lucy Koh, who's presiding over the litigation in California, yesterday rescinded a ban on U.S. sales of the Galaxy Tab 10.1 that she imposed in June.
Oh, that's a
there
good
were no
story.
Grounds. Yeah, that's
because
from the
jury found that there was no infringement, so now she has to go back and say, oh, when we said you couldn't sell it in the U.S. because it's infringed, well, guess what? No, you can. Which I'd be a little miffed about.
Apple is not commenting. Big surprise.
Though, I think this is all going to die down in like 2 years.
I feel sooner than that. I think that $1 billion actually is a damper on it. And notice Motorola yanked one of its accounts against Apple. I think that these guys are now actually starting to talk.
Well, is it because it would spur settling?
It's whenever we get something new and popular, everybody starts to go to try to seize the middle ground of patents, right? We saw it with computers. We saw it most recently before this with like one click with web, people trying to patent HTML commands and links and all of that has died out now.
It has.
And I think this is because smartphones and tablets just got super popular. Everybody's in a land rush to be like, this is where our patent boundary is because we want the biggest one possible.
So
I agree.
If it's a hill, where are we on the hill?
I think we're at the top of the hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go tumbling down.
We're pushing
hands.
that rock right up the hill and getting our liver eaten out endlessly.
Wow, that
Until
was
the end of
very
time.
abstruse.
What would Sisyphus Jobs do?
Sisyphus Jobs. What would Sisyphus do?
You have a Sisyphus.
You're Sisyphus.
Was it his liver or was it his pancreas? I can't remember.
I thought it was liver, but that could be a bad translation.
Can't remember.
Liver.
Pancreas sounds more Greek.
It does.
Spell it with a K. Probably order it in flaming cheese.
Roasted pancreas.
I was about to apologize for ruining the patent story, but then I don't think that's possible.
You can't ruin the patent story.
No.
Let's. I know. I got an invitation. I rarely get invitations to tech events anymore, and I actually got an invitation to.
That would have never happened if Steve Jobs was alive.
Exactly
You would have
right.
not gotten that invitation.
It was an invitation to Microsoft's launch of Windows 8.
That's great.
Yay.
What are we going to do? Because that's so they're having an event in New York City, which I'm not going to go to because it's too far.
And that's
away.
on
The 25th.
Because the launch
Right.
happens at midnight.
And the
Right.
pop-up stores go pop. Think of like the Pillsbury Doughboy popping fresh. Let's open the store. Developers. You want a Surface? The pop-up stores open the next day, the 26th. 32 of them around everywhere.
And more to follow. The one
So
in
this is
Corte
gonna
Madera
be
doesn't
all
open until
Surface
November
stuff?
1st, yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, I thought I saw a story that said that there was a store in the Bay Area that wasn't going to open that day.
Yeah.
5 days later. Well, they
5 days later.
I guess they anticipate massive lines or something. What the? You're trying? What the? I'll get Windows later.
Getting that Mac pop-up store from the cosmetics maker out just going to take longer than they
No,
thought.
it's the Halloween stores.
Oh, it might be
It's the Spirit Halloween stores. They
They're
take
sucking
up
all the space. That's what
they
it is.
suck up all the empty business space. And apparently in Corte Madera, there's nothing free until November 1st.
Yeah, because I just walked past it the other day. It's like right at the other end of the shopping center from the Apple store. And it's got a big banner up.
Almost
says opening November 1st.
Well, how about
so
that?
it's going to be that 5-day lull between when everybody else is going to be able to everyone's going to be rushing out and buying
That's
their
the
services.
problem. I
Is
think
there,
that-
is there
I think
another
that-
one coming up in the area, or is that the only one? Wait, pop-up
No, there's
store?
one downtown in
Is
San
there one in
Francisco. At the San
Okay.
Francisco Center, there's going
There's
to be one
several.
as
I
well.
think there's some
Okay.
down in San Jose. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 32, but the funny thing is nearly every one of them is in a mall with an Apple store.
Smart. Don't you think?
It's kind of acknowledging defeat.
Isn't
it?
Well, I mean,
You're
that's
saying
just
this is
where
where
people buy
That's where
these
people
kind of
go.
products. Yeah.
To buy things.
So let's just
Were
let
they going to put
Apple
it
do
in
the
a field
research.
with like 4 cows?
Well, no, are you saying? But there's not Apple stores at every mall in America. You could have a different mall that might be as good.
Are you sure of
No,
that?
but they
might be.
put Apple stores very specifically in
That's what I'm
malls where
saying.
people who buy
It's Microsoft
these
saying,
who have a certain discretionary income.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's Microsoft saying, "Oh, it's too much work. Where did Apple put it? Okay, let's put it there."
Oh, that's not
That's
it.
ascribing a lot of motivation to that
It's
decision.
just too much work to figure out where people go to shop. Where did Apple put its stores? Let's go there. That's what it seems like to me. It's like defeat.
That seems efficient. That seems smart.
Yeah, like,
why-
they did all
why-
the
why
market
double the
research on
effort?
where people are shopping. Why don't we just do there? I guess it's kind of the same thing, but it's for a different reason.
And the right kind of consumers, the consumers that wouldn't blink at spending several $100s on a piece of consumer
Crap.
equipment. Like they're not going to put it at the swap shop in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They're going to put it at the high-end mall where rich people go and shop.
I agree.
Exactly. Not to say the swap shop isn't where the bargains are, because it certainly is.
It's like you got a Tim Hortons, and you're trying to figure where's a good place to put a coffee shop. Oh, we'll just wherever Starbucks is, we'll have one across
But
the street.
Starbucks did that, and it worked very
Yeah,
well
that's
for them.
exactly. Yeah, in Boston, it was on every corner that there was a Dunkin' Donuts, a Starbucks jumped in.
Really?
Yeah, when they first started showing up in that
that's
area.
interesting.
And so it just made sense. People go to get coffee in that neighborhood, and if they're like, oh, there's a different store there, I'll check that one out too.
I
Makes
get it.
sense.
I get it.
So
you know,
you're gonna
there's a corner in Toronto that has 4 Starbucks stores on one intersection.
Yeah, there used to be a corner in Vancouver with 3.
That's it, Vancouver.
But at least one of them has gone out.
Oh, good.
And
Because really, no No intersection should have more than
and
two.
got replaced by a
Starbucks.
local chain.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Vancouver. But I figured they must drink so much coffee that they don't want to cross the street.
Yeah.
They just need it right now.
Recession really hit Starbucks hard. They had to close one of the 3 Starbucks on that corner.
Was it I thought there were 4. I thought there was one on each
I think it
corner.
was there were one on the corner and then one like halfway down the block from the corner.
And then there was a Starbucks in the restroom of the Starbucks.
Just in case.
And then on that 4th
On
corner,
your way
there was
out,
a
you wanted
detox center.
I stole that joke, and I don't know who I stole it from, but
Louis C.K. probably.
Probably.
It was Louis Black.
Louis Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see black.
Starbucks store in the. He's always angry.
He's another angry one.
Starbucks store.
This thing.
And he always says the finger.
Lots to be angry about.
When
you have a Starbucks
store. It's good.
Thank you.
I don't think you look like a Bollywood star anymore. You now look like some young Louis Black. We don't know, but Microsoft we do know will be selling, besides Windows 8, will be selling the Windows tablet, the RT. They call it Windows RT tablet. We don't know what it'll cost. Microsoft, Steve Ballmer said, well, he said the sweet spot is somewhere between $300 and $800. That's a big spot.
Make us an offer.
It's not untrue.
It's not
It
untrue.
just depends on the product.
So is it just going to be like a surprise? Like maybe the cashier at the pop-up stores will just charge you what they think you can afford.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
Sliding scale. That's nice.
Yeah.
So if you dress like a homeless person, you'll get it for $300. If you roll in a
No,
suit
if you dress
jacket-
like a homeless person, they'll think you're a hipster and they'll charge you max.
So are you all going to run out? I'm going to buy one.
A Surface?
Yeah, Surface RT.
The RT? Nah, I don't know. I want to see how much it is.
The Windows 8 I want is won't be available for 3 months. That's the Windows 8 Pro tablet.
Yeah,
Surface.
I'd rather have that.
That's the one I really want.
Although the RT is built for tablet, like the RT operating system.
Right.
So that might be a better experience than the full Windows.
I'm just not a tablet lady.
You don't like an iPad, Veronica?
I have one, but I only use it at home in front of the TV. I don't really take it with me anywhere. It's either phone or my laptop at this point. It just seems like it's just something I don't need.
The phones are so
use-
powerful now, you almost don't need a tablet. Right?
Well, I love my Newt, the not iPad 3, the new iPad, and specifically I loved it because of the LTE speed. Now that I have that on my phone, it'll be curious to see how much less I use my iPad just kind of out and about. But I travel a lot, and for me, the iPad is indispensable.
See, that's so funny because I thought that would be how my use case for it, but it turns out that my phone and the combination of my phone and my laptop is perfect because if I'm out and about, I don't want to lug around an iPad with me. Even if I have a small purse. I'm not going to carry it around in just a case or a backpack just because I want to bring my iPad. My phone can fit in my pocket. And if I want to actually get any real work done, like blogging or uploading videos or doing anything like that, then I need my laptop for that. The only combination that I can think of would be an iPad with some kind of portable keyboard, which they do have and which work pretty well. But still, there's the multitasking that just doesn't work the way I want it to. It takes too long to get certain things done. A laptop just makes more sense.
Well, I think for me, the iPad, and I just got it like 2 months ago.
Oh, you're still in love. That's why.
I'm still in love.
That's
Leo.
what it is. You haven't yet,
I haven't. The warts haven't
Right.
begun to show.
Right.
But for me, it's like sort of like dragging out a certain element of my usage on the laptop and leaving my laptop more readily available for the hard work that I can only do on there. Like,
Do you have other people in your house using your laptops? What do you mean more readily available?
Okay, so like
It's like it's freeing up your
let's say-
laptop to
let's
do
say
other
I
jobs?
want to upload something.
Yeah.
I don't want to be screwing.
Oh,
around
I see.
on
You
the
started
internet.
on the,
So I started on
and then
the
you go
laptop,
to your
and then I
iPad.
screw around doing other stuff that's dumb on my iPad.
I use tablet when I'm on the couch watching TV constantly,
Like Veronica.
and I use the Nexus 7 when I'm reading.
Love the Nexus 7, actually. Yeah.
And I use a tablet when I'm in the kitchen sometimes, either for recipes or just have some radio music playing or stuff like that.
No, I think that's to me what the Surface has yet to define itself as.
Well,
It's
that's
like,
the question. If you're a Windows user, you may be saying, oh, I don't want to use Android. I don't want to use iOS. I want to use Microsoft product. So maybe there is a pent-up demand.
I think there are those consumers. Are those kind of consumers in the same passion level as, let's say, Android or iOS.
Or do they
We'll
even
see.
exist? I mean, maybe everybody who has a tablet wants a tablet has a tablet.
It's a luxury device, in my opinion, still, and I think it will be for a very long time, unless you're in a field like you're a doctor or you're out in a construction site where it makes sense to have your schematics or your information about a patient like on a tablet where you don't need to input a lot of data. I think it makes a lot of sense.
There is an exception. There's little old ladies like my mother. Who had a desktop. It's too complex, and she loves her iPad. So there is a group of people who are very light users. They just want email and web, and an iPad's perfect for that.
Children, too.
Oh, my mom hates her iPad.
Really?
I gave her an iPad. She hates it. She never uses it. She's like, this is kind of dumb.
Is your mom an architect? What is she doing?
No. I gave it to her so she could use it for email and for web surfing when she's out and about, and she's just not that into it. I don't know.
She likes her phone.
But she uses
she loves her phone.
Does she use a desktop or a laptop?
She uses a desktop.
Interesting.
Yeah. She's not a typical kind of use case, but I mean, not a typical kind of situation, I guess. But
she designed Veronica's wedding. It was gorgeous, by the way.
Your mom did that? Because that dress.
She didn't design the dress. But
no, I understand. But she helped you. Yeah. She helped you do the whole thing. And it was
dress was from J. Crew.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It was.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
really?
It was just a denim jacket.
Shut the front door.
You didn't notice?
Really? I didn't know J. Crew made wedding dresses.
They do. They make great dresses. Wow. And Ryan's suit was from J. Crew, too.
I didn't see Ryan's suit because nobody took pictures of Ryan. It was all pictures of you.
I'll show you some. Never mind. We're getting off topic again. My fault. No, Tom's fault. That was Tom's fault.
I'll tell you what my mom loves Apple Maps. I think she might be the only person in the world that is just over the moon for Apple
it's
Maps.
so great. I can't find anything. I have an excuse for being late.
No, because for her, the maps went from a thing that couldn't do turn-by-turn navigation to a thing that could do turn-by-turn navigation. If I ask her to go download Waze, which I used before Apple Maps,
so a less sophisticated user might think Apple Maps is.
Because I asked her, I'm like, oh, so are you dealing with the annoyance of Apple Maps? And she's like, love it, can't get enough of it.
I wonder if that's actually the real world reaction to it.
I haven't had any problems with it.
No, it's fine in the Bay Area.
I don't avoid using it, and it's worked fine.
Yeah.
I know there are problems with it. I just haven't run into them.
It's just, for me, the idea of the Siri, One Direction's home.
I never use Siri.
Siri makes me angry.
Yeah, Siri's useless.
We have actually from our chat room. This is a picture of the Apple Maps car.
Oh,
that's mean. That's
really, is that from the DARPA Grand Challenge or something?
Must be. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The LiDAR was broken.
That's funny.
We'll have pictures any minute now.
Leo, we also have a picture of your costume.
Wow.
I was emulating Michael J. Fox.
That's like going Back to the Future, isn't it?
Exactly. Clint Eastwood.
Wow.
Nice.
And as long as we're showing pictures, here's a picture of Veronica in her J. Crew.
Aww.
Beautiful picture. That's Lance Bowie's picture. Really.
You can't see the dress in that picture, though. It's okay.
There's a dress? All right, let's do more Blockmont.
Oh no, come on.
This week in Veronica's wedding photos.
Oh, here we go. Here's a good picture.
That's not even from the last 7 years. That's picture.
It says brunch with the Brockmonts.
Oh, that was my friend JD took that picture.
Here you are.
Oh, there's
Om Malik. Yeah. That's a nice picture. That's good. Looks like you're pregnant though. You're holding your belly.
I don't know why I'm holding. I didn't know what to do with my arm in that picture.
you had a case of awkward arm.
I'm not pregnant. There's no babies.
Awkward arm.
I remember actually taking that picture and being like, I don't know where to put my arm because I'm on the end.
Right.
So I didn't look right. Yeah.
You're like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. Like you just don't know where to put your hand.
No,
she gets that a lot.
Just this. Thumbs up. Whenever you have a free arm, go like this. And people think you're very jaunty. Yeah, like that.
No new taxes.
That's a Magid-ism.
Is that right?
So this is just a useful tip for those of you who want to be on television. There's a company called Frank Magid that trains pretty much every local newscaster, but they also do politicians. And one of the things that they tell them is it's aggressive to point. Mm-hmm. Don't ever do that because it looks like you're nagging or you're scolding. So do this. This is a friendly gesture. And you'll notice every freaking politician going back to Bill Clinton No, I did not have sex with that woman. Does that?
Yeah.
Not this. That.
Like you have a whip.
Apparently, it's
whip.
Intel.
I did not regulate derivatives.
He did, though. Was that Glass-Steagall?
No, he left derivatives out of that.
Okay. Intel software snag said to hamper Windows Apple response. That's a strange headline. Who's that from? Bloomberg. So
it just seems like
I don't think Apple's actually involved in this, but they threw the word Apple in there because they'd figured to get better clicks.
I was going to say, yeah.
SEO, yeah.
SEO.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all. That's
Intel,
just wrong.
Google, Windows, Apple.
It's really wrong.
Free download, sexy porn.
Hashtag TWiT free
But
iPad.
the story is not wrong, which is that Paul Otellini, the CEO of Intel, apparently told Taiwanese employees that Windows 8 sucks.
But it's okay. That's really what he said.
Yeah.
It's not ready to release. It kind of sucks, but it's okay.
I'll
They
never
need to do
forget
it.
interviewing Andy Grove when he was the CEO at Apple. And we hadn't rolled the cameras yet, and he basically said the same at Intel. He basically that was for the SEO. I just threw that in. He basically said the same thing. Microsoft software sucks. So it's kind of I think it's a continuing theme at Intel. And now it turns out that one of the reasons that these tablets perhaps have been held up is because Microsoft is waiting for drivers from Intel, I think particularly on the power management drivers from Intel.
Yeah, Otellini was speaking in Taiwan, and the quote that they leave out in this Bloomberg story, but I've seen it in a couple places, he says, PC channels in chaos, or not PC, I'm looking at the wrong quote, but he says, yeah, this is not ready yet. But
Right.
he says it's the right thing to do to go ahead and ship it. We need to have this competitor in the marketplace, and they can update the drivers later,
Right.
and it'll all be fine.
Well, how long has it been since Windows, what's the last one, 7 came out? 3 years, 4 years? Remember, the whole PC industry holds its breath when there's a new version of Windows coming. Nobody buys a PC because PC users pretty much don't upgrade their OS. They just buy a new computer.
Yeah.
So I remember this happening with Vista. I remember Vista was very delayed. Remember, 5 years delayed?
Oh, yeah.
And
then
the whole industry got
did
stagnant.
the dual rollout with Vista.
Right.
Where they only put out the business version at first.
And the industry just was stagnant. And so Intel's not selling as many chips as they'd like. Manufacturers aren't selling computers. The whole thing holds its breath. So that's probably what he's saying is, we're all holding our breath. Could you please release the damn thing?
Windows 7 was 2009, October 22nd.
So it's not that long. I mean, 3 years is about right, isn't it?
It's about right. But then every other Windows release seems to run into this problem.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Me XP, Vista 7,
Right.
and now 8. Although 8, to me, looks much better than Vista did at this point. But
Well,
you
Vista
hear
was
a lot
horrible,
of grumbling.
nightmare.
Yeah. And Me was
The
not
issue with
necessary.
8, there are people are reporting bugs. I haven't seen them, but the issue with 8 really is going to end up being that it's just so very different in the user interface, and that it's going to take people back.
I just don't understand why they don't allow you to customize that to boot right to the desktop.
Because Microsoft is all
That's
in.
idiotic.
Microsoft says we don't want to do that because then people won't use the new Metro tile interface, and we want everybody to use it. And if you look at the ads for the Windows 8 phone, Windows RT tablet, Windows 8 desktop, it's the same start screen on all three of them. And Microsoft really thinks, I think this is important to their business. We've got to go touch. We've got to get people used to the idea, and we want people to buy into our ecosystem of phone, tablet, and desktop.
And the consumers, though, will not change it. It's only the power users in the enterprise that will. And I guess that's what they want. They want the enterprise to not be able to change it either, so that every worker in America and around the world looks at that tile
thing.
interface. Well, that's just silly.
I want that tile thing. What is that tile thing?
Finally. Tiles.
Meanwhile, we did find out that Windows Phone 8 will be coming out October 26th as well. And this is weird, developers will get an SDK that day.
What is up with that? It's like
29th for the
29th. I'm sorry.
So
3
it
days
actually comes
later.
down a few days later.
Yeah.
Like typically you want to give developers access to the SDK so they can develop applications for your platform. And yet when Microsoft isn't releasing the SDK this time around, or they are to a very, very small number of people, is it? Or maybe that was the last
key
version?
developers have got it. In fact, key independent developers are also starting to get it.
But why would they even do that? I mean, I understand the idea of wanting to build excitement around the release, but at the same time, and not having feature releases out there in the wild. But I mean, that's not doing them any good in the end. I mean, the whole point
Apple-
is to try to catch up with other platforms that have a really robust ecosystem already existing. So it doesn't make sense to me.
And so much of the success of both Android and iOS has been very small developers. One dude in his,
Angry Birds
in his office that decides to I can solve this problem in a interesting, elegant way, and it catches on in a big time way. So picking the winners and losers on this for Microsoft, I don't really understand.
It concerns me a little bit because I think now Windows Phone 8 will run Windows Phone 7 software, but whatever the secret sauce is in 8 won't be supported by that. But it will. At least there'll be apps. There'll be 100,000 apps.
They may say we don't want developers spending a lot of time on Windows Phone 8 and abandoning Windows 7 and 7.5 until we absolutely have to have them do it.
That kind of makes sense. The story that Microsoft's giving out is as you said, their secret features. We don't want them to come out. But Apple all the time does this, and people honor the NDA. Try and get a developer to tell you about secret features in the. Oh, I guess we can. I guess I'd take.
Well, yeah. I mean, now, with iOS 6, we knew
a lot.
Yeah, through people that were developing for it, and because it's also not hard. I mean, that's the trade-off.
You spend $99 and
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have a wider group of people that could make really awesome apps that could drive sales for your phone and could really be a feature that is constantly evolving for your platform at the price of the big secret will be out.
Especially because it's generally conceded Microsoft is behind with Windows Phone.
Yeah.
And they don't have time to waste. They need those apps out here.
I mean, even super secretive companies like Apple still gives their developers access to the SDK, under non-disclosure agreements. So it's confusing. I don't understand what would be the impetus for that.
Right. Well, we'll find out. Maybe there's some magic.
Nobody knows. It's provocative.
It gets us talking about it. It's provocative. It is. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Audible. Speaking of provocative, we were talking before the show about Cloud Atlas, which comes out this week. I'm excited about this movie. And Sword and Laser, that's your book for October, right?
That is our current book pick because the movie is October 26th. So you got time to read the book and then go see the movie.
I actually, because I have the Platinum plan, so I get 2 books a month. And I didn't have any credits, and I bought Cloud Atlas.
Really?
Because I really wanted to read it or listen to it before the movie came out.
How far into it are you?
No, I'm pretty I'm just in the second story. So it's weird because the stories abruptly stop, and the next one starts. So I'm excited, though, because I love the language. It's a really interesting book, and I'm starting to sense something's going on here. Maybe because I saw the trailers for the movie that I understand.
The trailers look entirely different after you get through the book. Because you know who all these people are.
They're kind of spoilery.
If you've read the book, the trailer is spoilery.
If you're reading the book, if you're in the process of reading the book, the trailer is kind of spoilery.
I feel like
which I did not expect.
I feel like I kind of know a little bit about the landscape that I'm entering. In any event, I always liked, and I bet you guys agree, I always like to read the book before I see the movie. You're the same way?
I like to go the
or
other
the
way.
TV show. You go the other way? Why am I not surprised?
Your way
you're
is
expanding.
long.
Because you're expanding. You have
but you're spoiled.
You have the shorter version, and then you see the larger thing. So you were looking at an expanding story as opposed to.
But you already know that Ares Targaryen is Luke Skywalker's father. It spoils. It spoils the book.
If I see them, then I can't see anybody else.
That's
if I
true,
read
too.
it, then I get a picture of them myself.
That's a good
And the
point.
character seems fuller to me.
Okay. I mean,
you know what? You get to do it any way you want.
You
for
can do
crying
it,
out
yeah.
loud. There's
no matter
rule.
what. And a lot of times you don't know. I mean, because you don't you're not. If you're super interested in a story and you have the peace of mind to go read it, and because this movie's coming out, then yeah, I mean that's something cool that you want to do.
If I waited for the movie for Republic Lost by Lawrence Lessig, I'd never read the book.
So this is okay. So we're going to give you 2 recommendations. So here's the deal: the Audible plan that we're gonna sign you up for. You get a month free, right? And we're going to sign you up for the Platinum plan. That's 2 books a month. Yeah, I like that. Audible.com/TWiT2. And always the challenge is Audible has over 100,000 titles. It's best audiobooks, the best readers. They're really performances that bring the book to life. The challenge is always, well, okay, but which book? Because I get 2. So we're going to give you 2 that are very different. And we've got lots of recommendations through history. Why don't you start with yours? Because you just read Larry Lessig's
Yeah, I
latest.
just finished this. I blazed through it because I loved it. Republic Lost was put out in 2011, and it's basically identifying the problem with the government in the United States, and he argues that it's not money and it's not evil people, it's money in the wrong place causing what he calls a gift economy influence. So there's not a lot of examples of actual graft, somebody going and paying for a bill to be passed. But you feel gratitude to your contributors. And you actually feel like you need to take care of them in advance.
It's a soft obligation.
Because they spend 30 to 70% of their time fundraising. They don't actually have time to read bills. They don't have time to discuss. They don't have time to actually fix all these things like education and government being too big and tax reform.
Because we've got to raise money.
Because they've got to spend all this time raising money. And so the voices of contributors are out of whack. And he says we need to restore confidence in the government by restoring confidence that the money isn't affecting it. Even if you can't prove that money is affecting it, we all think it is. And that's just as bad.
It's interesting because Larry, remember, was very big on the commons and resolving this whole copyright issue. He created a Creative Commons to solve this problem. And he realized, because he knew that we had to have change, and he was always said, don't steal music, let's change the rules, let's change the law. And he realized he couldn't. He was stymied, and he's actually changed his focus because campaign finance reform has to predate anything. Whether it's SOPA or music or anything else, you got to fix this broken system, at least in the U.S. I bet you it's true around the world, but at least in the U.S.
And I think it's an important read because I think he nails what the problem is. Now, you can debate what the solution is. He actually gives 4 solutions. He says which one he proposes we should try. He says it's not the only one, though. We still need to find that solution. But I think he absolutely pulled the scales off my eyes in identifying how money is affecting Congress. Everybody knows it is.
And this is fundamentally nonpartisan. That's what's great about it. It affects both parties. It affects everybody. We got to solve this first.
This is why nothing gets done whether Republicans or Democrats are in control. It doesn't matter because it's all stymied if it affects a contributor in a negative way.
Republic, lost. How money corrupts Congress and a plan to stop it. Larry Lessig, brilliant lawyer. He was at Stanford. I guess he went back to Harvard.
He's at Harvard now.
Yeah, he went back to Harvard. And a really great guy. He's been on TWiT before, and just his brilliant thinker. One of the most important thinkers of all. So that's one. But you know, I like to mix nonfiction, fiction, nonfiction, fiction.
Yeah, after you get depressed reading about how our government is broken, you need to escape.
I just finished a long history of World War II. Very depressing. You know, we win in the end, though. Sorry.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Is it the one about Poland, or is it a different one?
It's called The Storm of War, and it's materials that were released when the Soviet Union fell, stuff we did not know.
Oh.
And it's really very interesting. But the last chapter is why Hitler lost, and it was close. Could have gone very differently, but ultimately it was in the last sentence is Hitler lost because he was a Nazi. The Nazi ideology is what kept them from winning the war. They had the manpower, the materiel, the best soldiers in the world, and they lost because of ideology and no other reason. Really interesting. So I love history, but now I'm ready for nonfiction. So, and I knew this movie was coming out, and I have to say, and I'm only on the second chapter. I don't know, are those chapters when the
second story.
Second story. It's great. So we've gone from like the 18th century to 1931, and I know that more is going to happen. We go in the future too, right?
Yeah.
So is this science fiction? What is it? Defies categorization, I think.
It does. I mean, there's definitely a fantastical element to it. It's definitely more in the realm of science fiction than fantasy, perhaps. But it's 6 nested stories, so they're all related to each other, and they all take place in different time periods. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that you come around to the second half of the story at the end of the books. At the end of the book, rather. So each story does have a conclusion. So you don't have to feel like you're just losing the story halfway through. But it's a very interesting read. I mean, it really shows how. Duck and cover.
It's
Blue
Fleet
Angels
Week,
are
the
flying
Blue
over.
Angels. Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear that. Wow. You
Anyway,
can't miss that. Wow.
As I was saying before, the Navy showed its immense power force over the air. It's a good book, and David Mitchell has a real grasp on language and different dialects.
He sure does.
Really super interesting way of writing. So I enjoyed it, definitely. It's not one of my favorite books I've read in a really long time, but I found it fascinating, and I can't wait to see how they make it into a movie.
The word that comes to mind, kind of virtuoso in the way that he is changing the personality and the language through it.
Well, and it gets more impressive as he goes to present day and then future. He has 2 futuristic stories as well.
So another recommendation. Doesn't have to be, you can pick any 2 books. You're going to get 2 credits. So some books are 2 credits. If you want to listen to Game of Thrones, that's 2 credits. That could be your book. Or if you want to listen to Cloud Atlas, that's a credit. And Larry Lessig's Republic Lost, that's a credit. So there's your 2 books. Go to audible.com/twit.
I got one. I just downloaded.
Okay, another one.
Juggle it. Real quick, Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley.
I don't know this.
It's awesome.
Fiction, nonfiction?
Nonfiction, but basically talks about how specifically ideas, that basically the entire first chapter is how ideas have sex and why that is what's
how they
separated.
combine.
Why that separated humans and this particular era of humanity and why we should be rationally optimistic going forward. The fundamental underpinnings of why society has been getting better and better and better.
Right.
And even though we have depressing little things that we focus on, like campaign finance reform and everything, that ultimately we are on a rocket, upward as we have been, and why we should look at the facts and the data and know that we should be optimistic.
I need reasons to be optimistic, so I'm going to put that down. Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. This is a good one because it's whisper sync ready.
Yeah.
So you can now, if you have the audio, what?
I know Veronica just exploded into light.
I was so happy when
I have
they
a
announced
paperweight.
this.
I can't wait to use it.
Yeah.
With the Audible stuff.
So when you get the Kindle book on your Paperwhite for $3.95, which is $7.59, an additional $3.95, so a total of like $12, you get both the Kindle version and the Audible version. And it's cool because as you're listening, as you're reading it, it picks up. So then you get in the car, right? You're reading on the Paperwhite, you get in the car. Now it picks up where you left off on the Kindle version and the audio version. We've been waiting for this forever. And if you use the Audible app, which I highly recommend on Windows Phone, Android, or iPhone, it does the same thing, but with the audio version only. So when you leave off on my iPhone and I pick it up on my Nexus 7, it picks up at the same spot.
I do exactly the same thing. It's amazing.
Hallelujah.
It works, too.
It does work.
I haven't had a chance to try it yet. I can't wait.
Great. So this is Whisper Sync ready. When they say that Whisper Sync for voice ready, that means it'll work with the Kindle version and the audio version. I think all of the audio books work now that way.
They all sync across. Yeah. By the way, Cloud Atlas is thought of as conceptual fiction.
That's what I would say.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Haruki Murakami, and Jules Verne is even.
Yes. And actually, that's my favorite category.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Here they come again. I turned down 2 or 3 chances to ride in the Blue Angels jets.
Oh, Patrick Norton loves telling that story.
He passed out. He blacked out.
Which is exactly what I would have done.
I would have vomited, so that's why I chose not to go.
Then passed out.
Then passed out in my vomit. So you can see why I said no.
Pass out.
A lot of our best creators of music have done that.
They, because when I used to work at the radio station that did the Fleet Week play-by-play. So I would stand next to the guy from the Navy. He'd say, "Now here he comes, and the F-18 Foy Hornet he's doing a barrel roll." He didn't talk like that. But anyway, so
I wish he did.
And it's a hard thing to drive that airplane. Did you know that? We got a stick between your legs, and they clench. I'm sure they do. They do not wear flight suits. Normally, you'd wear a pressure suit to keep your blood from all going to your head, or actually leaving your head and going to your feet, so you pass out. But they don't have to do that because they're trained to clench.
Wow.
So they go like that, and then none of the blood goes out of their head. But if you get in the plane with them, Veronica, you will be required to wear a pressure suit because you can't be expected to clench.
I could try.
Not pressure suits, G suits. You're right. It's G suits because they're hitting high Gs.
That's why they call them G-men.
No, that's another. He's a G-man right over there. He works for the federal government.
Right. No, they're Super Bowl champion. G-men.
G-men. All right.
I'll tell you who's clenching.
Woo.
Jack Dorsey after reading him getting backdoor to the New York Times.
Golly, that's gotta hurt. So, tell us what happened here. This is Nick Bilton, who we keep trying. Why is Nick not on this show? Is he coming?
He has a very difficult schedule. He's scheduled probably 2 months in advance.
I don't think he likes me. I think he doesn't want to be on. He's been on the show many times, and now all of a sudden we can't get him.
So November 4th is the episode that he will be on.
All right, in a month we'll ask him.
Bilton Day.
But he's been writing really interesting articles for the New York Times about Silicon Valley. That's become his beat.
That's why he hasn't had time.
Maybe that's it, yeah. So this one is about Dick Costolo, who is the CEO of Twitter.
Absolutely. But in that, they discuss how Dorsey, who of course is also the CEO of Square, has been focusing more on Square lately. And according to built-in sources, some of the Twitter employees are not all that upset to see him less involved. This is a direct quote from the New York Times story. Mr. Dorsey's role has since been reduced after employees complained that he was difficult to work with and repeatedly changed his mind about product directions. He no longer has anyone directly reporting to him, although he is still involved in strategic decisions. And then he goes on to say, Mr. Costolo says he looks to Mr. Dorsey for ideas and sometimes has to pull them out of him. Although Mr. Dorsey is a regular on the media circuit.
Which part of his body is he pulling those ideas out?
Sweet Lord knows. He's a regular in the media circuit, appearing on CNN as well as Charlie Rose and other programs. He tends to be quiet in meetings. Dick does a good job of saying, Jack, what do you think? Says Michael Sippy, director of consumer products at Twitter. Mr. Sippy works with Mr. Dorsey to make sure that new features are quote-unquote Twittery.
Oh, boy. Well, Dorsey invented Twitter.
Indeed.
It was his idea when he was at Obvious. I often wondered, how can he be both the product guy at Twitter and run his own company?
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it. He's tired. He's resting at the meetings. He's closing his eyes.
It sounds like he may just not be a good manager.
Fine.
But they want his brain, and they're like, you go run Square, just stay on the payroll here so we can mine your brain for ideas sometimes.
Well, but the problem
Some people
seems
just
to be
work
his
better
brain.
that way.
But you can also
some people aren't
see it.
meant to manage people.
Can't you kind of see it at Twitter where it just doesn't clear? They don't seem to have a clear path forward. Or am I wrong? This feels like Twitter doesn't really know what the hell it's doing.
I feel like Twitter has done a great job until this last the iPad app. This is the first time where I've looked at something they did and said, that's not something I want.
Don't even get me started. All the iOS apps, the new Twitter apps, first of all, they kill the third-party apps. They basically say to third parties, thank you, but no thanks. You got us to this point, but now we're going to do it ourselves. Then they take the Apple apps and they trash them. They take everything that was good out of them and they make them garbage. Now, let me ask you about this.
Yeah.
And I did not watch the debates and watch Twitter at the same time, but you sounds like you with your iPad and your TV.
My Nexus 7.
You're watching the Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody told me that in the Twitter stream there were paid ads from Milt Romney's
Milt Larson.
Milt has many different Twitter accounts, apparently. There's a whole bunch of Mitt Romney Twitter accounts, and that you were seeing them in the stream. Did you see those?
I didn't see that, no. I was looking in the app. It was an official Twitter app, and I was following along. Now, I was on tape delay. You wouldn't have seen him.
then.
And so I'm following along
I think
Twitter.
Obama was, too.
And reloading. And so maybe I avoided them because
if you're not watching live,
but I would think they would be cached in. I mean, because all I was doing was scrolling down 10 minutes to what people were posting.
I see.
At the point where I was watching.
Well, let me ask the chat room, or Veronica or Justin, did you guys see ads in the debate, during the debates in Twitter?
I didn't. I was on my phone on TweetBot, and I didn't see anything, but I don't think I see them on TweetBot.
That's true.
Ads in general.
I same thing. I had TweetBot on my phone. And I was following through, but I didn't see any ads in there. But although I'll tell you what, the political ad controversy. Did you guys follow this week? That all the liberal and conservative blogs are furious with the campaigns.
Why?
Because both campaigns have gone to more of the cookie-centric, like the ads that just show up anywhere, that they'll try to buy the certain kinds of users. So those ads that follow you around.
You're talking about online ads, not TV ads.
Yeah, not TV ads. These are all liberal and conservative blogs that normally would experience.
Oh, they're not getting any revenue.
They don't get the big buys directly from the campaign. So now normally they would look to these seasons like the television networks do. Like, their networks in Orlando and Virginia Beach, where it's just a gigantic boon for them that every ad they have is bought out by a political campaign. This is normally what happens for sites like, let's say, Little Green Footballs on the right or the Daily Kos on the left.
That's a big money.
Yeah, now not so much, because the campaigns are saying, well, why do we need to buy from you guys? We'll just buy it through Google.
First of all, you don't buy from them because those people have already made up their mind. All you care about in a presidential election is people who haven't made their mind up.
Well, you want to motivate the base. You want to make sure turnout gets out.
Really?
Good too.
Oh, turnout. All right. Okay, you're right.
So you do want to get them excited, but meanwhile,
that's why you do debates. Debates don't actually change anybody's mind, but they get the base fired up to come out and vote.
Got it.
But meanwhile,
so like if you're President Obama, if you throw the debate, so that people will then say, "Oh, he really poor Barack. He's so tired. We should vote for him."
Yeah.
Or at least get him a warm glass of milk.
Okay.
I'm going to get a C in that class. That's all I know.
But yeah, it's a smart.
It's a smart thing. I don't know if I can't tell if the Romney campaign did this or not. But wouldn't it be smart to buy the ads in not ads but tweets in the Twitter stream during an event like that?
It's hard. I mean, because I don't even know what that value is for prospective voters.
I don't really know exactly how the promoted tweet thing works, but I know you're buying an algorithm. You're saying when certain conditions are met, I want my tweet to show up.
This guy,
and during the debate, I'm sure political posts were flying fast and furious.
Anyway.
And it could spit out.
I think what they were, and I'm not sure, the guy who was telling me about this said, they were, as Romney would make a point, there were links to further information about that.
Yeah.
Or when Obama would say something and say, now this is, well, look at this link, this is, and it was a really good way of kind of annotating the debate for your candidate.
Sure.
If they didn't do that, they ought to have done that. Or maybe not. Maybe people
why
who
couldn't
watch
they just
Twitter
do that on their own Twitter accounts instead of doing ads?
Well, they were, but the problem is you have to follow them. So what they wanted to do is to get to people who weren't following Romney accounts. You're right. They're doing it on the Romney accounts, but they want to get it to people who aren't following.
And well, that's the whole thing with promoted tweet, is getting your message into somebody's feed who doesn't follow you.
Yeah, I don't follow Nike.
So somebody who's not watching the debates and is tweeting about basketball wives can now find out Mitt Romney's facts about Medicaid.
No, that's my point, though, is that
that's good.
It shouldn't be showing up there. It should only be showing up with someone who's actually tweeting about the debates, because the way the brilliance of Twitter's promoted tweet is that they're supposed to only show up to people who would want to see them. The algorithm is supposed to look and say, oh, you're following these people and you're posting about these kinds of topics, so we'll give you that promoted tweet, because you're going to go, oh, that's interesting.
So maybe I wasn't a qualified tweeter.
Maybe.
I guess I was watching on TweetBot.
I was just following Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. So.
Oh, I bet they were fun.
I was eating burritos at the time.
I don't remember.
The crucial Northern California burrito eater vote.
They were playing the debate at the Mexican restaurant I was eating at.
Really?
So
that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened with Barack. He had just eaten a big burrito.
I didn't.
It makes you tired.
It's so funny because I did not see the debates and I didn't read any news accounts, but I get a pretty good picture of what happened from tweets, from you guys, from Facebook. You don't have to do that anymore.
People are mean. I'll tell you, I was surprised at just watching it how much people who are fans of, or traditionally kind of fans of Barack Obama just get mean with it, just angry about it.
Here's the story from the Washington Post. Websites lose to Google, AOL, and race for Obama-Romney campaign ads.
Which is
they're
funny.
Not getting their cut of the graft.
Exactly. And it's funny because now they're in a very weird position where they, like, personally, and they bitch in this in that particular article, where they hate the campaign and they're very angry that, like, this was something that they thought was sort of owed to them.
Right.
And
it's a huge
now they don't like the campaign, but meanwhile their whole entire shtick is pumping up the campaign.
But you know what little sites like Little Green Footballs can't do? They can't help affect legislation later on. But bigger companies, media companies that are part of conglomerates can.
Are we back to campaign finance reform?
I don't know. Maybe I
I read a book. Google passes Microsoft's market value. But what happened to the Google stock? Why did it suddenly take off? You must know, Tom.
You know, this story did not either surprise me or really captivate me. I mean, Google's been rising slowly since it IPO'd. They had a nice big
$767.
And this is just kind of the inevitable progress of Google. They haven't really messed anything up horribly, so they keep getting.
And you know how
the
stock market rewards people who don't mess things up horribly. Microsoft's not messed things up horribly. They're just not going anywhere.
People realize how much better their maps are.
Maybe that's it. You think it was about the maps?
I think it's momentum.
I don't know. It's possible, I guess. Anything's possible.
They've actually gone down a little bit since Friday, so
corrective
correction there. So never mind. Forget I said anything.
But Microsoft's not doing badly. I think when Apple got
but
near
their stock
Exxon,
price is stagnant.
That was significant.
Right. That's a story.
Google being like really valuable, like Microsoft, is also really valuable. It seems like
but it could be the changing of the guard. It's a web services company versus a software company. You know,
it's like when Microsoft passed IBM.
Right. Changing of the guard.
Did they dress like beefeaters?
No, I think they're wearing today. Everybody's wearing pork pie hats and Western shirts, I believe.
Is that it? I don't know.
How about a print ad with a live Twitter feed?
That is kind of cool.
Free phone.
I don't understand how that works.
So 1,000
oh my God. Turn
very
that down.
loud copies.
What the hell was that?
It's a great
Entertainment
song.
Weekly had an ad for CW television. It was only 1,000 copies. They were only in LA and New York, and they had an Android phone embedded in the ad that was
And in
stripped
fact,
out of its case.
Hackers were able to dial with that phone.
It had a T-Mobile connection that was
Here's a
putting
picture of
live tweets, and if you ripped it out of the ad, it was activated. So yeah, you couldn't see the
phone.
keyboard, but once you figured out the QWERTY, you just dial. You could make a phone call with it.
Now, first of all, that's got to cost a lot of money.
Well, I'm sure they'll cut the service off after a week. But yeah,
but
I mean,
why
even at
do-
1,000 copies,
I guess you're getting attention from more than
that's
1,000
attention
people.
getting.
exactly.
We all talked about
We're
it.
all
about
going
it
to
right
watch
now, yeah.
Vampire Diaries now.
Is that what it was an ad for?
It was a CW network, yeah.
It was a live Twitter stream about the shows,
That is just wild.
which I think it's a pretty novel idea. I
It's
think
a cool
kinda
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess it just depends
And-
business-wise how much they spent. to it.
$86 phone for free.
Who thought of that?
Yeah.
Who thought of that? Who said, hey, I know, we'll put Android phones in every copy of Entertainment Weekly.
Well, it's an $86 phone, but it probably didn't cost them $86.
No.
Probably they were
It's
like,
just
I know
the
a Chinese company can get these for $50
OEM stuff, yeah.
Yeah, at $5,000, our ad placement costs don't go up that much, and we get a big splash out of it.
I'll tell you what, though. What is the insert? The flow-in rate for something like that?
Oh, on the magazine
Oh, my
side,
God, yeah.
That's probably the real cost.
Sure.
Stick it in the magazine. Now, I got to imagine.
Working in newspapers, I know how much it used to cost to put a flyer in.
Right.
It was just a ridiculous amount of money, let alone putting a phone.
If you have one of these, it's got to be pretty valuable. You could sell that on eBay, I would think. That'd be a valuable thing.
I
to
mean,
have.
does anybody really care about this? Like, it's cool. It's interesting.
To me, it was a hacker thing.
different.
Like, yeah, you could pull this out and use it. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then they hacked the phone.
Granted, no, you didn't even have to hack it. It was
No,
already
you could
activated.
dial it.
You just had to have a stylus to be able to press the keys because there was no keyboard. It was just the bottom
funny.
part of the sensor.
That's so funny. Just
Yeah.
tear it right out of the page there.
I don't know if we'll be seeing too many more of those, but I think it's interesting. It's new.
Yeah, it's cool.
You'll never see that with an iPhone. Tell you that right now.
Too expensive.
Too expensive.
Be very expensive.
By the way, I just want to point out, because people keep asking me, have you scratched your iPhone yet? Look at the size of that divot that came out of the bezel there
What is-
and
oh.
there. Well, I
Mine's
must
okay.
have dropped it. I don't remember dropping it.
All I have is a
Must have
little,
been when you were on the rodeo trail.
I have a little bit of wearing at the edges.
You do.
That's all I have. I don't have any dents or.
So
I've got
major
nothing
scratches.
because I just got it 2 days ago.
Oh,
I've
just
got a case.
yeah. That's the question.
Yeah, I
is,
need to get a
oh, that's a
case.
pretty case. That doesn't detract too
I'm
much.
waiting for Mophie to come out.
The Incipio feather. It was the same one I had on my last phone too.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's the same one you had on the 4S?
Well, not the same case, the same
Same brand.
product.
All right.
Yeah, the same brand,
I was
the
like, how'd
same
you do that?
version. Yeah.
It's a
Just for
target.
the
Stretch it
5.
out. It's bigger on the inside.
I must have dropped it and I just didn't know. And clattered to the floor. Because it looks like what happened is it landed on that divot.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of little smaller divots.
You know, I dropped an iPad like that, though, and it didn't have that big of a divot in it.
This is a big chunk out of the aluminum.
This is why we can't have nice things, Leo.
Sigh. Sigh. When I first got it, I tried to cut it with a knife.
There's a great video, iFixit video, of the host and her daughter trying to scratch it with a set of keys.
Yeah.
She just gives it to her toddler, and the girl's just going at it. It's
Oh
pretty-
wow! Did they? Were they? Did she?
She scratched it.
Yeah,
All right.
keys will
It's
mess
not-
it up.
Not too
apparently.
surprising.
Molly
Yeah.
Wood did it on Always On, too. Made
Sure.
a mess of one.
She's made a career now. This is her new thing.
The torture test.
Torture
Yeah,
testing stuff. Are you buying Zynga stock?
Yeah. No.
Whoopsie doodle.
Not a good idea. Well, I
I
don't know.
wonder when
Maybe
the
it's a
OMG
bargain now.
Pop guys are gonna bail from that deal.
The Words with Friends guys are gone, and that was
Yeah.
a big product.
I don't
Paul
know. You
and
can
David Bettner.
You can just follow the bellowing laughter of the OMG Pop guys from their acquisition, and just
They made-
when you
it was
see
a-
that leaving the building.
How much?
Wasn't it like $1 billion? Something like.
Well, is it still worth $1 billion?
No, it wasn't
Like,
$1
how
billion.
much of
That
it was stock?
Instagram.
So
It was
Oh
less than
yeah,
that.
yeah. It was a big stock thing, but
So much money.
even then, that was it was like 4 days after they bought, the whole OMG Pop team. That Draw Something was just like,
Yeah,
what? Draw
they-
what?
Yep.
They bought Draw
Nobody's
Something at the
using it anymore.
absolute peak,
Yeah.
and that was over. And in fact, I was
Always a
using
smart strategy.
Yeah.
casual gaming was like a mini bubble, I feel like, and we're seeing it bust.
Well, that's okay. So John Constine writing in TechCrunch why Zynga failed. Premature.
Yeah, a little early on
Little
that.
bit,
but-
I don't think it's failed yet, but it's failing. It's not doing well. Too many developers. They had a lot of games.
Yeah.
Not enough soft core gamers. Are there too few casual game. I don't know. That
I
seems like
disagree with that, but I do strongly agree with his point that people are just sick of seeing game spam in their Facebook
that's
feed.
it.
Yeah.
I think, and you lose interest after a week. I was playing SimCity on Facebook for a while, which I love. I love SimCity. I love everything they do. And then after a couple of days, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's too complicated. There was a great article, I think, by Lee Alexander about why we get sick of these games so quickly and why we're not getting as much out of them as we could, because they hook you real early by giving you like, oh, the quests are really easy to complete and you can build up your farm real fast. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting stuff as easily as you were. So then you have to share with your friends to try to get more materials, or you have to pay some real world money to accomplish this certain goal. And then suddenly you're like, I'm just not getting that much out of this, with what I'm putting in. So it's hard. You hit a wall with these kinds of games where suddenly it's not as fun anymore.
Right.
And that time it takes to hit that wall is different for different people. But you're right. They always hit it. And so I think they've been living in a dream world that they can keep this going and keep bouncing the ball forward with new Farmvilles and things.
But didn't we see this in the console gaming arena as well? I mean, it reminds me of Atari, the days of Atari, where Atari could do no wrong. I'm going back a little ways. The 2600, they were king of the world. And then they started making some crappy games. I remember them bulldozing games because they had flooded the market with crappy cartridges. And then eventually just basically went bust. But that didn't mean it was the end of console gaming by any means.
Right. It meant that it wasn't as like crazy easy to make huge money as it may have looked right in the early days.
You got to make great games.
Exactly. And you got to make, I think that's what Rovio is trying to balance right now is like, look, Angry Birds is not going to last forever. So let's do Piggies, but let's do it right.
I like Piggies.
And let's make it good.
Do you like Bad Piggies?
And so far, Bad Piggies seems to be good.
Do you like Bad Piggies?
I haven't gotten into
played
Bad Piggies yet.
But I think what Rovio's doing
I actually just noticed it last night.
Rovio's doing the right thing, right? They're saying we're not just going to flood a bunch of stuff out there. We're gonna play this at a nice rhythm and not overinflate. Zynga got a little too excited and just started throwing everything out there like Atari. It's a great comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is just a volatile market, that you need to always chase that next hit, the next trend, the next...
We lost Leo, by the way, by saying
I'm sorry,
Piggies.
I'm playing Bad Piggies.
By playing Bad Piggies.
Should have never
Well, what I like about Bad Piggies is kind of a different game. They could have just like reversed it or something, but the idea of Bad Piggies is a little more...
And that's the problem with all those Farmville clones. It's like, oh, I'm just playing Farmville,
yeah, I'm
but
farming
it's a different
again.
thing.
I do not like mobile games.
Really?
No, not into it.
What about Pocket Planes?
So what are you playing these
Pocket Planes
days?
I gave up on after they got me. I shelled in a lot of money for that game
Really?
for Pocket Planes.
Really?
Yes. So I had to stop.
I did not.
So wait,
I
it was
was
a
not
financial
attracted.
decision?
It was a financial decision.
There was a bit of
what
a...
actually happened. So I put a lot of money into that game, and so now I have a lot of bucks, BUX, but I'm not high enough level to spend the money on anything good. So now I have to invest a lot of time with boring gameplay in order to advance to a point where I can actually spend the money that I paid real money for in the game.
There you go.
No, I got that's where
that's
Pocket
bad.
Plane died for me. I didn't.
That's bad.
I didn't dump in. I guess the financial reserve that Veronica did.
I
But
don't even
we
want
were a
to say
bad
how much money
influence
Tom
on
and
each
I-
other.
But don't throw out the piggy with the bathwater because it's possible these are just bad games.
Right.
And if it were a great game, we would all say, oh.
And there was a time when you could put out a bad game and people would play it anyway because they were just excited
The
about casual
Atari
games.
example, exactly. Yep. The example, exactly. We're going to take a break, come back with more. Veronica Belmont is here from TechZilla, techzilla.com, and her partner, Tom Meritt. They do a great show called Sword and Laser, which I guess Cloud Atlas is your current book of the month.
It is.
So you can read that. And
Tis.
anything exciting coming up in the...
We're interviewing Gail Carriger for our next episode.
I love Gail Carriger.
Oh, she's great.
She's coming to the office. We'll
I thought it was
introduce
the guy that they shot in
No, not that Gail.
Breaking Bad.
you. Oh, no. Hey,
Not Gail.
what's wrong with you guys? And spoiler.
Oh, that is a spoiler. I am sorry. I am so sorry.
okay, number one, my Looper thing from the beginning of the show was not a spoiler.
That was
the fact,
a
the fact that
spoiler.
people are
But
shooting
that
at
actually
themselves
was
is the
a story.
plot of
That
the movie.
was a spoiler. I am.
That was the end.
Who's shooting who?
In the trailer.
Who's
It's
shooting
in the
who?
trailer.
What? No. What
I said someone shoots themselves. That's the point
That's
of
a
the movie.
spoiler. That is a spoiler. Do not say
you see that in the trailer.
You see that in the trailer.
You do?
The whole point is that there's two
Well, that's-
hymns.
Just because the trailer did it doesn't mean it's okay.
All right.
dangerous territory.
If a trailer jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge, Justin?
Apparently so.
Berger is coming to the building when we record live. So, Leo, I will introduce you. She's very nice.
What does she write?
Oh, you haven't actually. Oh,
The
right.
Parasol Protectorate.
The Parasol Protectorate.
Victorian vampire T-punk.
That's a genre
Urbane
now?
fantasy.
That's a genre?
It's awesome.
Victorian vampire T-punk.
brother.
Imagine like H.G. Wells meets Dickens meets steampunk. It's awesome.
It's really good. It's one of my favorite series right now. It starts with Soulless. It's a great series of books. It's a lot of fun. She just came out with a young adult novel too that she's working on that takes place in the same world.
You just like combine three genres, any three genres, and then you got a new one? Is that how it works?
No, but they have to work. This one works.
This one works.
Yeah.
Like Western jazz musician.
It's a
Mystery.
it's a new genre. I know. They're going to launch a plane or something in a minute, so we got to hurry. Squarespace. No,
Weather's looking good for
brothers
SpaceX
are
launch.
at the
by the
is
way.
it? Weather's good. Andrew is there on the pad.
Apparently with Molly Wood.
Molly Wood's there
Yeah,
too.
Molly's out there.
What is she going to put an iPhone underneath the rocket?
I don't know. Although apparently,
Probably.
Andrew sent me pictures of Teslas in the parking lot.
Oh, the Teslas have
Elon's
arrived.
there. Those are
Yeah,
all
Elon.
his.
Yeah.
Oh, Elon owns SpaceX, so
yeah.
there might be a reason for that. Yeah,
I call him Elon because I don't know him at all.
Elon Musk.
My best friend, Elon Musk.
Did they name the perfume after him? This show brought to you by Squarespace. By the way, also here, Mr. Justin Robert
It's
Young.
me.
Thank you. Host of Frame Rate,
No.
host of NSFW.
There we go.
And
Weird things.
of Weird Things, which we're going to see, oddly enough, in about 45 minutes.
Indeed.
Or less if I can get through this ad. I want to talk a little bit about Squarespace.com. See, if Google had been using Squarespace, we never would have been able to bring Veronica's spreadsheet to its knees. Everything you need to create an exceptional website. That means hosting. That means the best content management system on top of it. You even get the domain name registration now when you sign up for a year plan. They throw in the domain name registration, hook it up so that it goes right to your site. And I have to tell you, just take a look at take the tour if you go to squarespace.com. Take a look at the various sites that people use Squarespace. Nothing looks the same. No two sites look the same because you start with these 50 great templates, but you're going to always and very easily modify it to suit you, so it really looks the way you want it to. This is really important to creatives, and one of the groups that Squarespace really reaches out to is photographers, artists, people who are looking for portfolios. It is such an easy way. I know there are service providers who specialize in photography portfolios. Do it yourself, save money, and get exactly what you want. And you want to make a change? No problem. And it's very easy to do. All the content just automatically reflows. And in fact, with their responsive designs now, you make one site that looks great on any size screen, whether it's an iPhone all the way up to 27-inch display, because they're automatically resizing the images. You get they do 7 different thumbnails to fit the right display. They reformat. Every template is designed to look great on mobile. This is such great stuff. Of course, the iPad and iPhone apps, now Android apps too, make it very easy not only to post but to moderate comments, to see the stats, and of course it works with all of your favorite services. They've got plugins for all of them. A great commenting system. Let me just show you. This is the pricing, and this is where you're going to really be blown away. When you sign up for a year plan, they've got 2 plans now. First of all, you can get the free 14-day trial just by clicking Get Started. You don't need a credit card or anything. If you decide to buy, that's when we're going to ask you to use the TWiT10 offer code, because you'll save 10% off your first purchase. If you make an annual purchase, you're going to save the most. And look at the prices. The basic plan is $8 a month when you buy an annual purchase, $10 when you just go month to month. And you get the custom. When you buy an annual plan, you get the custom domain and use the TWiT code. You'll get 10% off. But I gotta point you to the unlimited plan. I've never heard of a web hosting company giving you unlimited bandwidth, unlimited storage, unlimited pages, galleries, and blogs, unlimited contributors for $16 a month. I don't know how they do this.
That's
But they
insane.
charge you for the domain name, right? I mean,
No. See, that's the beauty of it. The domain name is free.
You get a domain name free too.
They're not making that's not the profit. The domain name, and they hook it up. I really don't. The only limitation that I know of is that you have file sizes limited to 20 megabytes. It's the only limitation on this one I know of. But this is amazing. 20 megabytes. What are you going to put on I guess you couldn't put like your home movies on there.
Store those on archive.org.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a problem. YouTube.
Link it up.
What's wrong with the YouTube?
And then embed it in your Squarespace blog.
Boom.
Well,
What, you don't like that?
no, I think it's
We're having
great.
a Squarespace
I'm having
party
one
here.
technical difficulty that I would like fixed.
I know
before
friends
upgrade.
over there. You tell me what's the I can help you.
We're trying to convert swordandlaser.com to Squarespace 6, but it's not automatically copying over all,
Oh, it
the,
won't.
little, all the little
yeah.
embeds that we've
Okay.
put in.
I started fresh when I went to 6, and
Yeah,
you
I'm
really
gonna have
want
to do that all by hand.
I
so-
know you really want to because the responsive design does not work well with the old stuff. So you really almost I did the same thing, and you have to just kind of say, okay, I'm going to go move over.
That's a lot. I got to
Is
get
it?
an intern on
You
that.
got a lot of embeds.
Well, all of
5
our
years.
podcasts. All our podcasts
your
and
links.
video
Oh
for
no,
5
I can
years.
help you with that.
The archive.org
not links.
embeds.
The embeds. The
The embed
Players,
code won't
the
translate
players.
over.
Yeah.
yeah. What are those little guys called? You push
yeah,
the thing. You enter the
I know what
code
you're
into the
saying.
separate little applet, and then it's not.
Have you
copied
talked to the
over.
Squarespace guys about that?
I haven't. I will. Or you can.
You want to know what's a really
Whatever
effective way to
fixes
do
it
that?
faster.
Talk about it on a well-listened to podcast.
Let me talk to Anthony about. They can fix it. I guarantee you, that's not.
Okay.
They'll fix that for you. That's not a problem. Squarespace.com, and that's the kind of customer support, by the way, not just for Veronica Belmont, but for you too. 24/7. They've got workshops that are free webinars. It's just a really, and they're nice people. Try it for free. You don't need a credit card. You don't need a code or anything. But if you do decide to buy, 10% off your first purchase. Offer code TWiT10. And just in case you're listening to this in November, just add a 1. It's the month, so it's TWiT plus the number of the month. Next month it'll be 11. December it'll be 12.
Spoiler.
I know. I know. I ruined it for you.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt uses NSFW 10 in Looper.
Oh, he's the best.
Twit 10s, rather.
He is good.
He's my favorite.
He's the star of Looper. And I thought he looked a little strange. Like they
changed him.
Yeah.
I thought they photoshopped him.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause-
they did it physically.
Yeah, he
Yeah, it was like
was wearing
makeup.
an
Yeah, it was
real
appliance.
man.
Photoshop.
They tried to make him
You know
Willis.
what's funny? He didn't look more like Bruce Willis.
I thought he
Yes, he
kind of
did.
did.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought it was fairly unnecessary because, like, in movies we see
He's
that
30
all the
years
time.
later. I didn't need
No, I
that.
thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah.
I thought it really helped. I don't know.
I mean, like, whatever Ryan
I
Johnson wanted
never
to do, that movie was
realized-
amazing. It was awesome.
I
That's
agree.
cool. I
Love
dug
the
it.
movie.
But, like, at the same time, it's like I just watched Warrior for the first time, which I loved. It's on Netflix, but it's got whatever his first name, Edgeworth, and Tom Hardy and their brothers, and they look nothing alike. Like, they literally have no physical resemblance.
Yeah, it's called a
whatsoever,
movie. It's
But
just-
you buy it. It's like, all right.
So
yeah,
you're
they're brothers.
saying that his chin was too pointy?
Was
No,
nose
they made it-
wasn't big enough, I guess.
They made his eyebrows different.
His eyebrows more ridgy,
Yeah.
more Klingon-like.
I never realized how much De Niro
Klingon-esque.
and Willis were alike until I saw Levitt doing a young Willis, and I'm like, that could be a young De Niro.
And
Now we're making a paradox.
This is why you should watch Rain Freight, because it's such a good show.
Rain Freight.
with Mom
Taryn. And when we get that show on, I'll tell you, it's going to be good.
Hit. That was instant hit.
Hot. Are ultrabooks dead? No, they're not. Are
Who
not.
said they were dead?
Well, this is the new meme,
Are
right?
trend stories dead?
Start a story with
Yes.
a question mark,
Are things dead?
and then say no, it's not.
Yeah.
This is from the Next Web. Ultrabooks are dead? Then why are they outselling Apple's entire line?
Well, there was an MPD study, I guess, that they were reacting to at the Next Web. I remember this now. There was a study out saying we're revising down our predictions. It might not have been MPD, but it was one of those maybe IHS.
TechCrunch headline. Remember Ultrabooks? Yeah, that was a good time. I like Ultrabooks. These are the Windows version of the MacBook Air.
So the study came out revising down, saying we don't think Ultrabooks are going to sell as well as we thought they are. They're not going to pick up until mid-2013. TechCrunch wrote this article saying, yep, they're dead.
Right.
Next Web responded to that. But yeah, I mean, the problem is we don't know what an Ultrabook really is. Like
it's just a thin,
consumers.
light laptop.
It's a
And
light-
Intel
Yeah,
is
and
trying
like-
to define it so rigidly that certain things that we like, well, that should be an Ultrabook, right? Is not an Ultrabook.
That's foolish.
Also, anything
Remember
not
when
made with Intel
there was a
inside.
distinction between laptop and notebook?
Oh,
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's a waste. It's a marketing. It gives the marketer something to do. People like thin, light laptops.
Yeah.
Some people want big, heavy laptops, but most people want thin and light. That's actually a pretty big one, but you're running Linux on that one.
This is a 14.1.
That's
inch,
actually kinda cool.
3-pound laptop.
That's actually really cool because
It's
you're
great.
running
I love this.
Ubuntu on
Yeah, it's Ubuntu 12.4.
You reviewed this on Before You Buy last week. In fact, speaking of which, you know what we should do is, if you missed TWiT, this week we had some good stuff. Before You Buy was great. Let's take a look.
This is TWiT, This Week in Law.
This is simply the reason why we have so many artists who have been cheated, blindsided, absolutely exploited. It's simply because they were just too stupid to make the right type of choices.
Triangulation. That started.
It turned out they were laughing at you.
Fire.
They were laughing at me, and then they were laughing with me. And then when I went on The Daily Show to promote that first book,
They loved it.
I was laughing at them.
Yes.
Ha, 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 ha.
Windows Weekly. I got my invite. Microsoft invited me to the Windows launch.
Nice.
Shocked. Gizwiz.
It's somehow it's attached to.
I'm still, by the way, tied to Liz Romero. She's under the table right now. Never did. Mac Break
Scandal.
Weekly. Will this change the world? Only time will tell. If you missed this week on TWiT, you missed a lot. Now, if you're listening, you probably didn't know, but that the guy we were talking about was John with John Hodgman.
Yay!
And he was so great on triangulation. And he's funny because usually we do it like we're doing with Veronica via Skype. He's in New York. He's in Brooklyn. So I came in and I didn't expect, I thought he was going to be on Skype. And there he is without shoes. And it was amazing. It was amazing. But on Skype, you can't smell people's feet.
He's a great narrator, too.
I hear
I'm
his
listening
feet
to
smell like
him
unicorns.
narrate Year Zero
He
by
did
Rob
Year
Reed
Zero.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
I love Hodgman. He signed our wall. You know, we have a wall of fame. You all have signed it. And he signed it. He says, I was not here. John Hodgman.
Oh, also, Judge John Hodgman is one of the funniest podcasts out there.
Absolutely.
On Maximum Fun. It's great.
I said, do you prepare? Do you know what the question? He says, no, it's all ad lib. Just kind of out of nowhere. Should I buy a Nest?
Yes,
Do you have a Nest?
I do.
What's a Nest?
I love it. It's a
Think
thermostat.
birds sit in.
It's a high-tech
That's not
thermostat.
important right now.
So do you have the new?
Do
Do you have the
take
new?
your twigs and?
Do you have the new Nest or the old Nest?
I guess I have the old Nest.
Yeah, there's a new Nest now,
But it's great. You can control it with your phone or your tablet. And
it
or
learns,
online.
right?
And it works fantastically. It took us about 10 minutes to set the whole thing up. And it's great. I'm so glad we have it. It senses when you're in the room. It can tell what kind of temperatures you prefer to have. It automatically adjusts the heat depending on the time of day or the air conditioning if you have it. And it works wonderfully. And it does save you money too, because when you're home, it can turn off the heat automatically and then it senses when
How does
you're
it know?
back,
It sees
and then turns
movement?
It tracks movement.
Wow.
Yeah. Or you can set it on a particular clock also on a schedule.
Your cats don't fool it.
Trigger
It's
it?
too high up for them to see
Yeah,
the cats. Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah.
Although
They
one
don't see
day,
the cats.
I think they're gonna get there.
Yeah, the cat's are trying to be
The
seen.
cats will figure it out.
They're
like,
leaping.
It's a little cold in here.
Exactly. Mr. Little
chilly.
Jeans is gonna figure that out. He's working on it right now.
No, Justin, he's not the smart one. Devo will figure it out.
Devo's the smart one.
Little Jeans is not that bright.
DVI Rack in our chat room says that Kevin Rose did a foundation with Tony Fadell, the guy who created Nest. That's cool. I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it's a cool company.
He worked on the iPod for Apple, and that's where he got his design sense.
And then the new Nest thermostat is apparently more compatible with more systems.
Good.
It was fairly widespread before, but now it's like 98% of systems.
I'm going to get it. That's
And
really cool.
If you rent, you might be thinking, well, I can't take care
I
of
do
it.
rent.
But even
No,
if
I'm a
you
renter.
rent, you just take off the old thermostat, put the Nest on, and when you leave, you can take the Nest with you. Put the
He'll
old
never
thermostat
know
back.
I nested him.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of they give you a really handy chart in the box when you open up your Nest, and you can see which plugs. It's got like little stereo plugs, little clamps, and you just clamp it into the right spot, and it works.
Did you do it?
I'd like to do it. My landlord's a real jerk. Like,
Oh, yeah, don't do it at your place.
Yeah, he's just a real stickler.
No, but I mean, you can't even tell that it's there. You have to use a little. You have to.
I'll know.
I think he'll know.
You think he'll know? Is he there when you're not
He might be at this table.
smurfing around?
Your landlord is at the table?
I rent Tom's apartment.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
I thought, wait a minute, do I have any
Talking about
rentals?
inside baseball.
I know.
Talking about
Even I
nesting.
forgot that.
Can he put a nest in his?
Yeah, of course, I don't care.
You can do it.
Exactly. This is a good conversation.
So
you
it's
go.
$250, and it's available October 4th. I'm gonna order it right now. Look at that. I'm gonna pre-order with one click.
Prime that puppy.
Primed it. It'll be
Primed
here.
up.
It'll be here October 15th.
Be here before the show's over.
No, you know what? Amazon Prime is kind of starting to do that, aren't they?
here.
They're
It's already
arriving the next day sometimes.
I wish they would get
getting
that.
ridiculous.
There's always those rumors that they're going to do like hour delivery or same day delivery. I really wish that.
I think they're working in that way. Hey, by the way, we mentioned Steve Jobs passing as a year old. Did you know that the CD is 30 years old this week?
I did. Lance Bass told me.
Did you celebrate in any way? Lance Bass of NSYNC?
Yes.
What do you mean? Wait a
It
minute.
was on Lance Bass's show on Sirius XM, and they mentioned that
Lance
the
Bass
was
has a
30 years
show?
old. He does. And
That you listen to?
I was on it. No, I
You were on Lance Bass's show?
I was. It was really fun.
So you mean
And-
I am now 2 degrees of separation from NSYNC?
Yeah. How cool is that?
Awesome.
Congratulations to all of us.
Well, but do they still have the record for most CDs sold? Most albums sold?
I'm not officially an NSYNC expert because
Did you
I
know
was
this
on
is
that
the
show.
anniversary
I'm
of
sorry.
IBM building the first calculating machine to use solid-state transistors instead
No.
of vacuum tubes?
That's cool.
Today, October 7th.
Do you still do This Week in
I do
History?
Tech History Today on my blog, and I've got a chronology of tech history that I'm about to publish.
You know the nice thing about that? Every year you just reuse last year's.
I know, right? I'm into October. It's like, here we go again.
It's easy.
Crank it out.
Crank it out.
Every day you got to add some. You know, you got to. Did anything important happen today? No. All right.
That was the problem. You know, I did that in the first Tech Almanac, or the second one, I think. And that was the problem. Is there were some days that nothing really interesting
It took
happened.
me 2 years to really come up with 3 important things.
We
for
ended
every
up
day.
doing things like today, the packing peanut was invented.
That's
stuff
why you
like
do
that.
this day in alternate history on days.
What should have been invented today, but wasn't.
Today, Englishman Ralph Wedgwood received the first patent on carbon paper.
Okay,
which
so
led
you were
to
obviously
CC.
Wedgwood.
Yeah, that's He was a rogue, wasn't he?
He was.
Add
What
him-
a card.
Add him to that panoply of crazy
Jobs,
Edison,
Tesla,
Wedgwood.
So the first CD player, first CD player. Hey Tom, did you know the first CD players were announced in Japan in 1982 on October? Yeah. Look at the size of those. You wouldn't really want to carry that around with you.
It came after Laserdisc.
Lasers. I bought my first CD in 1984, 2 years later.
So that was October 1st?
Yeah. My first CD was Roxy Music's Avalon.
My first CD was Jerry Harrison's Rev It Up.
I love Jerry Harrison, a keyboardist of Talking Heads.
My first CD was Dookie by Green Day.
My first CD was the self-titled Ace of Base.
Is that?
I don't believe you.
For real.
I don't believe you.
That's
really?
an absolute truth.
CDP 101 sold for 168,000 yen in 1982, and you could only get Billy Joel's 52nd Street on CD when it first came out.
That's really
It was a
sad.
few weeks
That
before
does date it.
No, that's the remix. That wasn't what
I know. I actually don't have the rights to play.
That was not
okay.
Billy Joel.
I can only play the 8-bit Ace of Base.
There we go. They saw the sign. Leo saw the takedown notice from YouTube.
You know, I just want to say, we ran a Chipotle ad a year ago in a This Week in Google. We were talking about Chipotle, and we ran one of their ads because it was an interesting ad. A year later, they took us off YouTube.
Because they added it to the Content ID database. A year late, they didn't add it until a year later, and then the Content ID database sent flag.
And it wasn't one of those, oh, this isn't going to ding you. We just want to put an ad in there. It was like, no, take it down.
And that, well, you know, they just changed the policy. Did you?
I'm waiting for that. So what does that mean?
So essentially, what they've done is roll the DMCA into YouTube's policy. Before, it was all an
So
internal
they take
policy.
you down before you post it?
There was no negative to someone posting a takedown claim on you because there was no part of it was all internal to YouTube. It was not part of the legal DMCA. So what YouTube has done is said, if Content ID flags you as infringing, first of all, we're going to try to do a better job of catching uses that aren't infringing. And second of all, if you dispute it, the content owner has to file a formal Digital Millennium Copyright Act notice to get you taken down the second time.
Good.
And if that's frivolous, then there are damages associated
But if
with
it's
that.
not, then you go to
And you
jail.
can file a counter takedown notice.
Do I then go to jail?
And after that, it goes to court. Yeah.
Court.
Yeah.
Oof.
And they can build up fines.
So, John, did they put us back up? We filed a counterclaim. I think they put us back up.
So instead of, because what it used to be is like, you'd hit the content ID, your video would go down, you'd file a dispute, it'd go back up, and then the content owner would go, nope, and it would go right back down, and that would be it. Like, you wouldn't have any recourse. Yeah. Now the content owner has to go, well, wait a minute. I could be legally liable if I'm wrong here. So let me make sure that this is really an infringing use, rather than just blanket saying no to everything.
Yeah, because it was weird, because it was Chipotle, Sony, and some Brazilian television station. And I'm pretty sure that we didn't infringe on a Brazilian television station.
Well, that's the other problem with content ID. Like, if you include anything in your video and then you add your video to the content ID, then now every video that was in your video is now in content ID is owned by you.
Were you doing the
That's how
segment
NASA got taken down.
in Portuguese or wearing a thong?
I just looked at the chat in our spreadsheet, and it says, Chad, mouse on my face.
Yeah, there was a mouse on my face. Chat room told me.
But Chad got rid of the mouse on your face?
No, now it's hanging out. It's lurking in the corner.
Where?
Look at that.
There's a little mouse.
No.
There's another one over there.
There's mice all over the place.
Oh, my God.
It's an infestation. Whenever you see two, that means that there's hundreds.
All right,
in the
SpaceX
walls.
is starting its feed. So let's quickly wrap this up. First with a word from Stamps.com. If you do not want to go to the post office again, you do not need to. You can print postage right from your computer using your computer and your printer. This should not be a revelation if you've been watching our shows.
But then you can't get working dogs.
Oh, you know what's better than that? You could put your dog on stamps.
Oh, I don't have a dog.
Yeah, well,
Buy
how
a
about
dog.
Mr. Lame Jeans or whatever the hell your cat's name is? What's his name, Mr. Green
Mr.
Jeans?
Little Jeans.
Little Jeans.
Yeah. That's apparently the dumb one. There's a genius cat.
Wouldn't you
named
like a
Devo.
Mr. Little Jeans stamp?
Yes.
Well, yes, you would. Forget working dogs. All of a sudden, she's rather have the Little Jeans stamp. And you can make that with Stamps.com. How about that? You can print your own envelopes. You could print international postage. By the way, they fill out the forms for you. Makes it a lot easier. You get discounts you don't get at the post office because the post office is saving money because you're not going there. You're mailing everything with Stamps.com, and the mail carrier comes and gets it. Even if it's not on their schedule, if you're in New Zealand, wishes they had this. We do. You don't. We have this. You don't have this in New Zealand.
They have better rugby.
Yeah, and The Hobbit.
They have The Hobbit, but they don't have Stamps.com.
No.
Not that I'd want to make a trade.
I think we're fine.
We're fine. Let's leave it the way it is.
I don't know. If they give us Monteiths.
When is The Hobbit coming out?
December.
This year of 2013?
Yeah, the first of the three is coming out in December.
Yeah.
Go to Stamps.com, click the microphone in the upper right-hand corner. See, I don't want the $80 offer. Say I want more.
They got a nice picture of you.
Enter the offer code TWiT. That's spelled T-W-I-T. And yeah, there it is. Leo Laporte listeners, welcome. Welcome. It's now a $110 bonus offer. You get $55 in postage. You get the Mr. Little Jeans stamp. You get a free digital scale. You get a $5 supply kit. You get a Mr. Little Jeans stamp and a 4-week trial.
Look at that horse.
Mr. Little Jeans stamp not included. Now,
in hilarious.
Mr. Little Jeans stamp available where legal. Where allowed, which is nowhere. You have to call Veronica at her home, and she will make you one because she's because she's going to get Stamps.com too.
She will post a picture of Mr. Little Jeans for which you can
make a stamp
as your stamp.
I will do that. I will do that.
People will be mailing Mr. Little Jeans everywhere in the world. Will you do that, Veronica, on your blog?
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right.
What's your blog address?
Oh, I don't ever blog on my blog anymore.
No, but you will on this one.
Belmont.com. Yeah, I'll put something up.
Put it on your About Me.
Okay.
Mr. Little
That
Jeans.
wouldn't work, but I'll put it on my blog.
Okay. Tweet it. Whatever you kids do something.
But do me a
favor and tweet a
Text it.
picture of your cat.
Instagrams.
I know it sounds crazy.
I would like a picture of your cat, Veronica. Do you have one?
Oh, I have many.
Stamps.com. Use the offer code TWiT, and I promise you will love it, especially if you do a lot of mailing like your eBay or Amazon sellers or Etsy, too. It incorporates it right in there. Love it. Hey, we got to go to space. We got to go into. Would you?
We have to resupply.
Absolutely.
It's a cargo. It's the first civilian cargo flight.
Yeah. So it's a private cargo trip up to the International Space Station. But really, the bigger picture on this is the idea that it is kind of space as an API, and that idea kind of becoming more of a reality, that now that we would have a commercial entity like SpaceX, and there's a couple others that are coming up behind it that would regularly send rockets, into space. They can go, now that you have a fixed cost, it just opens up a whole different world.
Cape Canaveral becomes a spaceport, like an airport.
Absolutely.
Operated by the...
Are you okay, Veronica?
Space. From Portal.
I love the confidence in the impression.
I miss Veronica. I miss you so much.
Oh.
SpaceX.com.
Anyway, so space, you were saying?
So
Sam?
this is going to be part of, we're going to do, it's a Weird Things podcast.
Yeah.
But we are going to have Justin Robert Young and Tom Meritt in studio.
Andrew Main live at Cape Canaveral, and Brian Brushwood will join us from Mission Control in Austin.
He's going to Mission Control?
No, I mean his house.
Oh. And that's exciting. And it's T-minus 29 and counting, so we want to get out of here. I want to thank you for being here, Justin Robert Young, NSFW, the show. Watch. He's also a star of many Bollywood hits. So
Indeed.
we just say to you and all of your friends, Jai Ho.
I think that's racist.
That's not racist. Why do people say? I didn't say, we say to all of your friends, Jai Ho. That would be racist.
That's racist.
Now that's racist. Also, Mr. Tom Meritt, also known as Mom Terrett, the star of Rain Freight. We love you, and we want everybody to go watch Tech Tues today, every Monday through Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday too, at 10 a.m. Pacific Eastern. It's about 1 p.m. 1700 UTC, Monday through Friday. It's your daily dose of tech news. Really, it makes it unnecessary to listen to TWiT ever again.
You listen to TWiT for fun. You listen to Tech News Today.
I think that's pretty much true.
For the news.
Yeah. There's no news here.
Well, there's news. It's analysis. It's a good time.
It's pretty good. It's good.
And Mr. Little Jeans. Veronica
He's not
Belmont.
here right now.
Texilla.com. Sword and Laser. Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, I got a new show called Factor Fictional on youtube.com/techfeed.
Ooh.
Revision 3.
Oh.
New episodes up on Mondays.
What's it about?
It's about all the technology in your favorite TV shows, movies, video games, comic books, and if it's real, and if it's not real, why not? And we talk to experts about, in their field, about that kind of stuff.
How cool. When did you launch that? I didn't even know about that.
We put up a first little teaser episode last Monday, but we'll have another episode up either Monday or Tuesday this week. I think Monday.
And is it just you, or are there others involved?
Yeah, it's me and the guests. But we may have other people pop in time to time.
So you bring in experts who will explain,
Right.
Oh.
Like, for example, I like hoverboards. Like, why don't we have hoverboards yet? Where are we with that?
Where are those? Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Okay.
I still think you should change the name to Sounds Legit.
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit. I like that. Cool. Well, we'll be watching that too. Thank you, Veronica Belmont.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Thank you all for being here. We do TWiT every Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. But, you don't have to. It's nice if you watch live because then we can interact. Oh, they turned me off. What happened? Hello? Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on the stream over there. I don't know what happened here?
Oh.
Chat room says you're on.
I'm on fire. That's what I'm on.
Literally.
We do. I think I'm sorry, Liz. We're almost done. Poor Liz Romero. We never did get untangled. What was I saying? Watch the show live if you can, because then we can see you in the chat room. But if you don't, you can always get on-demand audio and video after the fact on twit.tv or via iTunes or wherever else you get your podcasts. We got 2 more days in the T-shirt. I should mention that. If you have, I think we're going to raise enough money to buy
country.
Liz her freedom.
Liz her freedom. No,
emancipation.
To buy, we want to buy a thing called the Elemental that will make our streaming more reliable. But it's how much?
We have 4 days. The Elemental? I'm not sure.
25,000. That's really expensive.
Yeah. It's actually have to be level 50 too.
It's also an Esper that you need a chocobo to get to.
That's exactly whatever he said. So here, if you go to Teespring, teespring.com/twit is our T-shirt. We have 5 days and 1 hour left.
Go.
And we have 1,772 sold. If we can get to 2,000, I think that pays for the elemental.
Yeah, go ahead and buy
Is
that.
it a fire elemental or a water elemental?
It's a box that you plug in, and then all the streams come out of it. Do you know what we're doing right now? We're running Wirecasts on one computer. We have scripts running so that if it crashes, it restarts. So that if something goes wrong, if there's an error message, there's a script. But it doesn't.
It's kind of a beautiful piece of hackery.
It's hacked like crazy.
Yeah.
So we want to get a real
use
thing.
an elemental.
This is what Google uses. Is what a lot of smart people
Although
use.
look at those docs. How good is it going for them?
Well, no, they don't use it for Google Docs. They just use it for YouTube. So go to teespring.com/twit. Pick up a T-shirt. You get it, by the way, American Apparel or Fruit of the Loom.
And exclusive. We'll never sell it again.
And once it's over, it's over. We're never going to make that again. The next thing's not even going to be a T-shirt, by the way. I've been talking to the boss. We're thinking of selling pork pie hats. Instead of a feather, you get a little TWiT logo. But you have to wear it like this. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another TWiT is in the can.